I walked into the shop and ignored all the noisy idiots hanging around. Joya was behind the counter laughing her head off at whatever chaos was happening. "Hey, did you save my stuff from yesterday?" She gave me this little side-eye look. "What? You think I threw it away?" "Of course I saved it." "Hold on." She came back with a basket full of fruits and veggies, the stuff I bought yesterday but couldn't take home because, things happened. She said the frozen stuff was in the storage room out back. I looked at the fresh stuff and waved my hand. "Keep it. I brought more home today. We got plenty. I'll just grab the frozen stuff." She got all quiet and whispered, "It's too expensive. I can't take this." "Just take it," I said, and I made sure my voice had that don't argue with me energy. "You helped me out yesterday and saved my butt. Stop being difficult before people notice us whispering like this." Her face went a little pink. She gave me this look, half annoyed, half something else. Then she mumbled, "You waste money like an idiot. Come on," and headed to the back. We went through the kitchen, out the back door, into the courtyard. Her place is set up like one of those old-style compounds. Shop in front, living quarters in back, storage rooms on the sides. She unlocked the storage room and flicked on the light. "Your bag's right there." But I was not looking at any bag. I was looking at her. She noticed. She definitely noticed. Her breathing got faster, little clouds of white mist coming out in the cold air, and under that dim yellow light bulb, everything felt different, electric, like the air itself was holding its breath. "Why are you staring at me like that?" Her voice cracked a little, and she was gripping the corner of her jacket like it owed her money. And you know what? My brain said, "Do it," and my body just moved. I grabbed her and pulled her into my arms. Was it smooth? Absolutely not. It was clumsy and desperate, and I was hugging her like she was the last warm thing on earth. But it was real. "Joya, I like you. Be my wife." I was squeezing her so tight she could barely breathe. Even through 2 layers of thick winter coats, I was basically a human furnace right now. We can't," she was gasping. "Shall we? I'm your auntie. We can't do this, auntie. We're not even related. From now on, you call my parents uncle and auntie, and boom, we're the same generation. Problem solved. I don't care about anything else. You're my woman now, but I've been married before. I'm a widow. You're a young man. You deserve better. I'm not good enough for." I shut her up. With my mouth. On her mouth. Yes. I kissed her. Her eyes were wide open for a second, staring right into my burning gaze from like 2 inches away. Then she sighed inside, and slowly closed her eyes. And my God. Kissing is incredible. Her lips were soft, her tongue was sweet, my heart was doing backflips. I felt like I could fly. Until I realized I was dying. Because I forgot to breathe. I ripped myself away from her face and started gasping like a fish on land. Turns out when you seal your mouth onto someone else's mouth, air becomes optional and your lungs have opinions about that. Joya looked at me wheezing like I just ran a marathon and burst out laughing. She pinched my cheek and said, "You little dummy, you know you can breathe through your nose, right?" I froze. My brain did a full system reboot. Oh, you're right. Let me try again. I went in for round 2, but she pushed me back. "It's late. We've been out here too long. If anyone sees us, it'll be trouble. I'm a widow. People already gossip about me enough. My reputation doesn't matter, but yours does. How are you going to find a wife if people talk?" I kissed her cheek. "Find a wife?" I'm looking right at her. She tried to act like she didn't care, but I could see the smile she was fighting. "Stop talking nonsense. Don't come looking for me anymore. A widow marrying a young guy? People would laugh us out of the village. Now get out." She basically shoved me out the storage room, told me to leave through the back door, and ran back to the shop. I stood there in the cold courtyard, grinning like an absolute idiot. Just me, a bag of frozen goods, and the biggest, dumbest smile in the entire Northeast. Then I threw the bag over my shoulder and walked home to Grandma's house, still grinning the whole way. Meanwhile, and I found this out later, Joya went back to the shop counter and couldn't sit still. Something was uncomfortable. She had to sneak back to her room and change her underwear before returning to the counter. Then she sat there with her face changing colors every 5 seconds, smiling, blushing, smiling again, and almost gave a customer the wrong change. Look, the woman had a rough life. Married through a matchmaker, husband died in a logging accident 2 months in. No compensation because it was an illegal operation. She used the wedding gift money plus sold 2 horses, scraped together 3,000 yuan, and bought the old supply store to turn into her shop. She's been running it alone ever since. Her in-laws have an older son, so they don't need her, but those old foxes are just waiting for her to remarry so they can grab the family property. Zhouya's no fool. She sees right through them. Plus, she had her own plans. And until now, she just never found the right guy. Well, guess what, Zhouya? The right guy just kissed you so hard he forgot how lungs work. You're welcome. Okay, so turns out Zhouya's whole journey with me went like this. At first, I was just another dude staring at her. Village full of those. Then she found out I actually went out and made money selling vegetables by myself, and suddenly I went from creepy starer to, wait, this guy has ambition. The real knockout punch was when I grabbed her hand at the restaurant. That one move apparently lit a fire in her that had been waiting for a spark for years. Long story short, lonely young widow meets young guy with guts and cash. Yeah, her defenses crumbled like a sandcastle in a tsunami. Anyway, I hauled that giant sack of frozen goods back to Uncle's house and started unloading like Santa Claus having a breakdown. Fish, pork, pig intestines, candy, the whole works. My family was standing there with their jaws on the floor. This is 1990s rural China, people. Most families put out like 6 dishes for New Year's and feel fancy about it. I basically bought enough food to feed a small army. Grandma almost had a heart attack. My precious grandson, how much did you spend? Even she couldn't hold back the concern. I played it cool. This is for Uncle's family too. And I'm not even done. Still gotta buy new clothes, firecrackers, and decorations tomorrow. Mom wanted to scold me, but couldn't, because I'd already said it was for Uncle's family too, and complaining would make her look cheap. Andy was trying so hard not to smile that she literally couldn't open her mouth. Uncle tried the polite refusal thing, but Dad shut that down real quick. Good times. Back home, I lay in bed and could not sleep. Brain was stuck on a loop of Zhouya, her soft body, her smell, how nice it would be to just hold her all night. Yeah, I wasn't sleeping anytime soon. So I said screw it, and teleported to 2025. It was just getting dark there. I needed to use the bathroom, which is outside the courtyard in this sketchy dead-end alley with 0 streetlights. Real horror movie vibes. Grandma Wu wasn't home, probably still working on getting me that household registration. Lon Weiwei's light was on, but I made sure not to look too long because the last thing I need is a peeping Tom accusation. I walked to the toilet, and that's when I heard it. MMPH, MMM, MMM. Someone was in there making muffled sounds, like someone with a hand over their mouth. My gut immediately said something's wrong, but I couldn't see anything past the door. I called out casually, "Someone in there? I'll use another one then," and walked away like I was leaving. The sounds got more desperate. Whoever was in there did not want me to leave, but I wasn't actually leaving. I looped around to the back of the toilet, and in the moonlight, I finally saw what was going on. Cliffhanger, of course. So here's what actually happened. Lon Weiwei, the hot girl renting at Grandma Wu's place. She's a medical intern. Basically runs around the hospital all day until her legs stop working, then drags herself home on the bus. Tonight she really needed to pee. Like, code red levels. But she's stuck on the bus in traffic, clenching everything she's got, praying the driver floors it. She finally gets off the bus and sprints to the toilet. She's so focused on not exploding that she doesn't notice some creepy dude has been following her the entire way. Right as she's about to unbuckle, guy jumps her. Knife to her side. "Give me the bag." And that was the moment her bladder said, "I've been holding it together for an hour and I am done." Fear plus full bladder equals. Yeah, game over on that front. The mugger, some fugitive named Chen Shi who's been hiding in the city doing small robberies, rifles through her bag and finds basically nothing. Few coins, some lipstick, a phone. Then this piece of garbage looks at her, and his brain goes to the worst possible place. He decides tonight he's gonna make an exception to his no-violence rule. He backs her into a corner with the knife and tells her to strip. That's when my footsteps showed up. The mugger panicked, slapped his hand over her mouth, put the knife to her neck. She tried to scream, but all that came out was those muffled sounds I heard. And my dumb self almost walked away thinking someone was just using the toilet. When I left, she thought it was over for her. She's literally having her final thoughts like, I haven't even gotten rich yet, and I'm gonna die in a public toilet? Can I at least die somewhere that won't be embarrassing on the news? The mugger got bold again, started threatening her even harder. But then, she saw me, popping up over the wall behind the mugger like a ninja. Well, more like a ninja in outdated clothes. This morning she thought I was some clueless country bumpkin staring at her like an idiot. Now, I was basically Batman. I signaled her from the wall. Hands down, stay calm, play along with him. She got the message instantly, swallowed her fear, put on the performance of her life. You promise you won't hurt me if I cooperate. The scumbag bought it. Completely. Sure, baby, just be good and, okay. Just move the knife away so you don't cut me. I'll take my clothes off. She started slowly removing her coat. Meanwhile, yours truly is perched on that wall like a gargoyle, waiting for my moment. So Lan Weiwei did her part perfectly. She slowly took off her coat, handed it to the mugger like, hold this for me please, and threw it on his face. The second his eyes were covered, I launched off that wall like a missile. Full body weight, straight onto his back. Heard a nice crack. That was his ribs saying goodbye. I pinned him down, twisted the knife out of his hand, grabbed his hair, and slammed his face into the ground. One shot. Lights out. Then I hogtied him like a farm animal. Shoelace for the hands, his own pants for the feet. Bent him into a human pretzel. Professional work if I say so myself. I told Weiwei, don't mention me to the cops. Just say some random stranger helped and left. She agreed immediately. No questions asked. Rescue a girl from a knife-wielding psycho, and you get a lot of trust real fast. She insisted on staying with me until the cops arrived. Then she asked my name. Apparently this morning, when Grandma Wu introduced us, she didn't even bother remembering it. She won't admit that, of course. Oh, I was sleepy, haha. Sure you were. Lu Wei, I said. Then she asked my age. I said 25. She didn't buy it. Fair enough. Then something in my brain clicked, and I asked, do you know someone named Lan Chunyin? She blinked. Yeah, that's my MOM. How do you know her? My brain. Loading. 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 Lan Chunyin. The girl I had a crush on back in the 1990s. This woman's mother. What about your dad? I asked, trying to sound casual while my soul was leaving my body. Internally, I was like, who married my crush? I'll castrate him. Oh, funny coincidence. My dad's name is also Lu Wei, but I never met him. Mom said he was gone right after I was born. Thunder. Lightning. Brain explosion. Her dad is also named Lu Wei. Her dad IS me. I'm the dad. I married Lan Chunyin in the future. We had a daughter, and that daughter is the woman standing in front of me right now, who is 6 years older than me. I have a daughter who is older than me. Let that sink in. Now here's the tragic kicker. If I wasn't around after she was born, that means future me dies young. That's not great news. What I didn't catch, because we were talking and not texting, is that her mom's name is Lan Chunyin, and the girl I know is Lan Chunyin. One character different. But my dumb ears didn't pick that up. So I'm sitting here fully convinced this is my future daughter. The cops showed up, I bounced over the back wall, and watched from a distance until Weiwei got in the police car safely. Because that's what dads do. Back in my room, lying on the bed, brain doing somersaults. I went from, that girl is hot, this morning to, that's my daughter, tonight. The emotional whiplash could kill a man. I waited 2 hours for her to come back. She cleaned up, changed clothes, then knocked on my door. I saw her standing there in pajamas, shivering in the cold, and my immediate instinct was pure dad energy. Get in here. It's freezing. You'll catch a cold. She mentioned how cold it was tonight, and without thinking I said, it's already frost season, of course it's cold. Wear more layers when you go out. Just pure, unfiltered father mode. Activated. I've been alive for 19 years, and somehow I already have a 25-year-old daughter. Parenthood is wild. So Weiwei walked into my room, and I accidentally glanced at her pajama neckline and saw. Nope. Abort. Abort. If this girl is my daughter, then every stray thought is basically a federal crime. Eyes up, Lu Wei. Eyes up. She looked around my empty room. 1 bed, 0 furniture, 0 decoration, and I just shrugged. I'm one guy. Roof doesn't leak. Good enough. She kept staring at me like I was a puzzle. Why do you talk like an old man? How old are you really? 18. 18. Why are you out here alone working? To survive. I kept it short. Then she asked about my parents, and I said they were gone. Sorry, Mom and Dad. I lied about you dying, but I can't exactly explain the time travel situation right now. She got all soft and patted my head, like I was a puppy. Don't be sad, little brother. Big sister will protect you from now on. This girl just patted her father's head and called me little brother. The disrespect. I swatted her hand away and got to business. Are your parents from Lanshui County, Dongling Town, Long Province? Her eyes went huge. You really do know them. Are you a relative on my dad's side? I dodged that and asked how I mean her father died. She said car accident in 2002, right after she was born. Okay, mental note. Do not get hit by a car in 2002. I'm in 1988 right now, so I've got time to plan around that. Then I asked about relatives on her dad's side, and she said there were none. Zero. Nobody ever came looking for her. And that made no sense. My family is huge. Parents, uncle, aunt, cousins. There's no way they all disappeared. Something fishy happened, and I need to find out what. She guessed her dad was probably a scumbag, because her mom refuses to even talk about him. I'm sitting here getting called a scumbag by my own daughter, and I can't even defend myself. Wonderful. She also said she'd never try to find her dad's family because her mom raised her alone and she doesn't want to upset her. Plus, if they never came looking, why should she bother? That one actually stung. Maybe there's a misunderstanding, I said quietly. She changed the subject and insisted on buying me dinner. Hot pot. I tried to say no, but she went full steamroller mode. Tomorrow? Day after? Day after that. You can't be busy forever. And basically declared the dinner was happening whether I liked it or not. She bounced out of my room, and I stood there feeling about 17 emotions at once. Now here's the part that's hilarious, and I didn't know about until later. Wei Wei called her mom that night and mentioned she met a guy with the same name as her dad, also from the same town. And her mom, Lan Chunyin, or actually it's Lan Chunyin, not Lan Chunyin, a completely different person from my crush back home, but I still don't know that. Her mom basically panicked internally. She'd been telling Wei Wei stories about a father she could barely remember. Quote, what was that jerk's name again? Lou something? That bastard is probably dead by now anyway. Mother of the year, folks. Can't even remember the fake dad's full name. Anyway, my alarm went off at 1 a.m. I splashed cold water on my face and headed to the vegetable market without breakfast. But something was different. I had a spring in my step. Energy I never had before. Because now I wasn't just working for myself. I had a daughter. A daughter who lives in a tiny room, works insane hospital hours, and almost got killed in a toilet. Dad mode, fully activated. Time to go make some money. Got to the market and immediately got a call from my buddy Lu Yi. Come to my warehouse, got a job for you. So I went. He introduced me to Boss Yang, the cucumber king of Jiangqing. Apparently a third of all cucumbers in this entire city pass through this guy's hands. Lu Yi was hyping him up so hard the guy was like, bro, are you complimenting me or making me sound like a mob boss? Long story short, Boss Yang has thousands of pounds of cucumbers daily that aren't fresh enough for wholesale, but still perfectly good. 3 cents per pound. Lu Yi talked him into giving me all of it. My brain nearly exploded doing the math. These cucumbers aren't rotten. They just don't look pretty enough for the fancy buyers. But in 1988, where I'm selling, people would kill for these. And the cold weather over there is basically a free refrigerator. Did some unloading work for Lu Yi. Earned $300, scored a few £100 of free leeks he wouldn't let me pay for. Loaded up a tricycle full of cucumbers. Brought everything back to the apartment. Teleported to 1988. Spent a whole night working over there. Came back and barely an hour had passed. The time ratio is amazing, but the sleep schedule is destroying me. I just woke up over there, and now I gotta sleep again here? My body is confused on a cosmic level. Couldn't sleep. So naturally at like midnight I grabbed 2 pairs of socks, shoved them in my jacket, and headed to the shop. Mom heard me leave. Where's that kid going this late? Dad mumbled, probably the bathroom, go back to sleep. Thanks, Dad. Perfect cover. The shop was still lit up, card game marathon in full swing. I walked in acting all casual. Joya saw me, and her eyes went wide for a second before she put on her poker face. Still up this late, shall we? Yeah, gimme 2 ham sausages. I slapped $1 on the counter. Ham sausages in 1988 are luxury items, by the way, 50 cents each. That's like paying $40 for a hot dog in today's money. While I was there, the card players started gossiping about something that made my ears perk up. The forestry department is leasing out 1,000 acres of pine forest on West Mountain. 10,000 yuan a year, 10-year minimum. Everyone was laughing about what an awful deal it was. Can't cut the trees, can't farm the land. Pine nut harvest barely covers costs in a good year. But my brain went straight to 2025 prices. Pine nuts sell for like 40 to 50 yuan per pound over there. 1,000 acres could produce tens of thousands of pounds per year. That's millions. This, bad deal, is a gold mine if you've got a time portal in your bedroom. Just gotta figure out where to get 10,000 yuan. Minor detail. Joya handed me my sausages and gave me a look. You came here at midnight for ham sausages? Really, look. I nodded toward the backyard. She rolled her eyes. I went around back and hopped the wall into her courtyard like a ninja. A very cold ninja. Stood there freezing for what felt like forever. Finally, I heard her tell the card players to wrap it up. They grumbled, but left. She locked up, turned off the lights, and came to the backyard. I grabbed her in the dark. She smacked me. You little brat, you trying to give me a heart attack? I kissed her cheek. Your fault. I've been out here freezing so long my lips are literally frozen solid. She grabbed my hand and dragged me inside, scolding me the whole way. Why didn't you just wait in the back room, you idiot? Standing outside in the cold like a moron. And the author left a little note at the end. Next chapter. Meat, not the frozen pork kind. So Joya pulled me into her room and asked why I came over so late. I said I just wanted to kiss and hug her. She asked, and then what? And I said, then go home and sleep. Why? She stared at me like I was the dumbest creature on earth. Then she bit her lip, leaned into my ear, and whispered that she'd teach me something even more fun than kissing. What? Another kind of kissing. I'll leave the rest to your imagination. Next day, the shop didn't open. Neighbors were confused. Joya's sick? She was fine yesterday. Someone went to fetch the village doctor. Meanwhile, Joya is lying in bed feeling like every bone in her body got rearranged. Thinking, young men have energy and they use all of it, dear God. And me? I looked like a zombie on the road to town. Mom was worried I was sick. Dad said I looked like I'd been fighting wolves all night. My legs were literally shaking. But I was grinning on the inside like an idiot because now I understand why people risk everything for that stuff. I went all night. Only stopped for like 10-minute breaks. Went until my calves started cramping at dawn. Both of us basically got wrecked. She couldn't open the shop. I couldn't keep my eyes open. Worth it. Anyway, business. I had over 4,000 pounds of cucumbers plus a bunch of leeks to sell. Way too much for one little town stand. I told my parents and my aunt's family to handle the stall while I went to handle something. Dad was like, what are you being so mysterious about? Mom shut him down. He's grown. If he wants to tell you, he will. Sell the cucumbers. I wandered around town looking for empty houses, places with snow piled up in the yard, clearly nobody living there. Found one. 3 old mud brick rooms sitting empty right next to a newer house. An old lady came out with a basket, and I asked if anyone was renting around here. Then the old man from next door popped out and recognized me. He'd been my first customer 2 days in a row at the vegetable stand. Small town luck strikes again. You want to rent? I've got 3 empty rooms right here. Come take a look. Things are falling into place. I've got a cucumber empire to build, and my legs are still shaking from last night. Life is good. Spent the whole morning buying a house. Yeah, you heard me. 3 rooms, big yard, $700. The old man wanted exactly 700, and I swear he must have X-ray vision into my pockets because that's exactly how much I had. I negotiated 2 tons of firewood on top because I'm not a complete pushover. No paperwork, no deed, no notary, just a handshake, a contract, and the village office stamps it. Real estate in 1988 is beautiful. Hired the old man next door to watch the place for 10 yuan a month. Keep the stove lit. Don't let the vegetables freeze. Don't let anyone steal stuff. He was thrilled. Easiest job in the universe. Now I'm a property owner with exactly 0 money left in my pocket. Spent my last few coins on some meat buns because a man's gotta eat. Then I spotted a guy selling live chickens on the street and thought, Louis has been helping me non-stop and I haven't done a single thing back. So I bought a big fat rooster for $6, had the seller clean and gut it, found a quiet spot, and teleported to 2025 with a dead chicken. Walked up to Louis like, hey bro, my relative gave me this chicken, but I don't have a kitchen, you want it? He tried to refuse. I insisted. He took it. Good. My conscience feels better now. Later that day, Louis took the chicken to a farmhouse restaurant where he was meeting friends. The place is one of those organic farm experience spots run by his buddy. The kind where they claim everything is free-range and natural, but everyone knows it tastes exactly like supermarket stuff. Louis' friends were already roasting the owner about his fake organic produce. One guy said, "Your food tastes the same as the frozen meals I sell." The owner was like, "You freeloading jerks come here, eat my food for free, and insult me." Louis handed over my chicken and told him to stew it. The owner grabbed it, and immediately his face changed. He weighed it in his hands, looked at it closely, flipped it around, and said, "Louis, where did you get this chicken?" "A friend from the countryside gave it to me." "Why? You gonna tell me it's not a real farm chicken?" "No, that's not it. This chicken, something's off about it." "Yeah, because that chicken is from 1988. Raised on actual grain, breathing actual clean air, drinking actual clean water, zero hormones, zero antibiotics, zero anything artificial. That bird lived a purer life than most humans in 2025. The farm restaurant owner who sells fake organic food every day just met a real one for the first time, and his brain is short-circuiting. So I wasn't there for this part, but Louis told me the whole story later, and it's too good not to share. His friends were waiting at the farmhouse restaurant, complaining about how long the food was taking. One guy was like, "Are you catching the chicken right now? We're losing millions per minute here." The owner told them to shut up because this chicken needs slow cooking, and if you rush it, you ruin it. Meanwhile, the boys were being absolute animals, talking about going to some spa after lunch where apparently college girls work now, and one guy called the other a beast for corrupting the nation's youth, and the beast fired back, "I'm not corrupting them. I'm nurturing future pillars of society." Even his friend had to admit that was a solid argument. Anyway, the chicken finally came out. Louis took one bite, and his eyes went wide. The meat was tough in a good way, chewy, dense, packed with flavor that got stronger the more you chewed. Everyone started freaking out. "This is so good. There's this natural sweetness I can't describe. It tastes like childhood, like the chickens my grandma used to raise." That's when the restaurant owner dropped the bomb. He said my chicken wasn't just some regular farm bird. It was a genuine, pure-breed heritage chicken, the kind that basically doesn't exist anymore. He went on a whole lecture about how every free-range chicken sold today is actually crossbred with commercial meat chickens for faster growth. Even the ones village farmers raise at home have corrupted genetics. The original pure Chinese chicken breed has been nearly extinct since the 1990s. The 1990s. You know, the decade I bought this chicken in, where every single chicken is that breed because commercial farming hasn't wrecked everything yet. The owner said these chickens are so rare that the government has them under protection programs. Not illegal to eat, just impossible to find real ones. Market price? Doesn't even matter. 50 yuan per pound, 150 per pound. Nobody cares because you can't get them. Louis started sweating because I gave him this chicken as a casual thank you gift, and apparently it's worth a small fortune. The restaurant owner grabbed Louis' arm and begged him to find a steady supply. Said if he could serve real heritage chicken at his farm restaurant, it would be the ultimate selling point. He'd pay up to 120 yuan per pound without blinking. Louis played it cool on the outside. "I'll ask around," but I bet his brain was already doing math. And my brain, when he told me all this later, oh, it was doing math too. I bought that rooster for 6 yuan in 1988. It weighed at least 5 or 6 pounds. At 120 yuan per pound in 2025, that's over 600 yuan for a chicken that cost me $6. 100 times return. On a chicken, I've been hauling vegetables back and forth like a madman when I could have been running a poultry empire this whole time. After delivering that chicken to Louis, I went back to 1988 and my body finally said, enough. One all-night session with Joya plus a full day of hustling with zero recovery time. My eyes were closing against my will. I stumbled to my aunt's house, threw my coat over myself like a blanket, told my cousin, "Here's some buns. I'm dead," and passed out instantly. Slept until sundown. Woke up to my family debating whether to feed me burn medicine pills for my diarrhea. Apparently, they think I've been running to the bathroom every night. Sure, let's go with that. Way better than the truth. Dinner was amazing, braised fish and pork bone stew. Then we counted the day's money. 989 yuan. Almost hit 1,000 in one day. My pockets went from completely empty to stuffed in a single afternoon. At this rate, I could buy that color TV I promised my little sister tomorrow. But then my brain kicked into empire mode. I looked at my aunt and uncle and pitched them a business plan. Not, help me sell vegetables, but run your own stall. I'd supply the product. They'd sell in a neighboring town. Keep most of the profit. Just pay me back half the cost price. My aunt tried to refuse. We can't take money from you. But my uncle, smart man, he was already nodding. I laid out the whole vision. Fresh vegetables are impossible to find here from winter through spring. That's half the year with zero competition. I want my aunt and cousin running one town, my other uncle running another, my third aunt covering a third, my big sister on a fourth. Eventually, the whole county. Every cucumber, every leek, every piece of greenery going through the Liu family pipeline. I got a little carried away and said something like, if I say cucumbers cost 3 yuan, they cost 3. If I say 5, it's 5. Mom smacked the back of my head. You want someone to come arrest you? You're not a warlord. Fair point. The speculation and profiteering laws haven't been repealed yet. Maybe tone down the monopoly talk. Uncle-in-law stepped in with actual business sense. Set a wholesale price for me. Set a minimum retail price so family members don't undercut each other. Let everyone keep their own margins. Smart. This man should have been a CEO. He volunteered to go tell my third aunt and big sister tonight so they could show up at the market tomorrow morning. Dad went with him. It was pitch dark outside, but Uncle said, I used to sit in mountain holes all night long. You think I'm scared of the dark? After they left, I lay on the heated bed watching the news on TV. My little vegetable hustle was turning into a real family business. Multiple towns, multiple sellers, wholesale distribution network. And I haven't even started on the chicken empire yet. From broke teenager to regional produce kingpin in less than a week. Not bad for a time-traveling kid who just learned what kissing is 3 days ago. Told Mom I had to go out to meet my vegetable supplier. She was not happy about me disappearing into the freezing dark again, so my aunt made my cousin Li Hing come with me. Great. A chaperone. We went to my new house. Yes, my house. But I told him it was rented because explaining how an 18-year-old bought property would raise questions. The stove was going. The temperature was perfect for storing vegetables. Old Zhang next door did exactly what I asked. West room warm, middle room cool, east room basically a walk-in freezer. The man earned his 10 yuan. My cousin lasted about 45 seconds before falling asleep on the heated bed, snoring like a chainsaw. World-class sleeping talent on this guy. I snuck into the east room, closed the door, and started teleporting back and forth hauling over 3,000 pounds of cucumbers from 2025. Took a while, but I got it all moved before the deadline. Tomorrow when my aunts and sisters show up, there'll be enough product for everyone. Then I stayed in 2025 to go buy more socks for resale. But my phone rang, unknown number. Some warehouse guy had 1,550 pounds of bell peppers to sell. Still green, still decent looking, just a little soft from sitting too long. He wanted 500 yuan for the whole lot. Take it or leave it. 3 cents a pound? Deal. Deal, I said, all confident. Then I reached for my wallet and my heart stopped. I had 300 bucks. The peppers cost 500. I was 200 short. My pocket was full of cash from 1988. Thick stack of old bills that would get me either arrested or committed to a mental hospital if I tried spending them here. So I needed to borrow money. Let's go through the options, Grandma Wu. No, she's already given me a place to live and is out there fighting to get me a household registration. Asking for cash would make me feel like a leech. Lu Yi, 200 is nothing to him. But I already owe him 1,200 for Boss Yang's cucumbers, and he let that slide out of friendship. Going back for more money over 200 bucks feels pathetic. Lan Weiwei, my possible daughter, borrow money from my own kid who I just met and who thinks I'm some random teenager? And right after saving her life, too. Hey, remember when I rescued you from that knife-wielding psycho? Cool. Can I have 200 bucks? That's not gratitude. That's a transaction. Absolutely not. I was this close to teleporting back to 1988, grabbing something valuable, bringing it here, selling it, and coming back with cash, which is the most exhausting financial solution in human history, when my phone buzzed. Caller ID, Lu Yi. Saved by the ringtone. Lu Yi called and asked if I had more of those chickens. Apparently his restaurant buddy went crazy over the one I sent and wants to buy more at 120 yuan per unit. Now, I heard 120, and my brain automatically assumed he meant per chicken. Because what kind of lunatic pays 120 per pound for poultry? So I'm thinking, hey, regular chickens at the market cost 100 each, and I can get mine for $6 in 1988. That's already a fantastic deal. How many does he want? Lu Yi asked the restaurant guy, who said, as many as you've got. Lu Yi, being Lu Yi, told me 10,000. I nearly choked. Then the restaurant owner freaked out too. Where would I put 10,000 chickens? Lu Yi shrugged innocently. You said as many as possible. Want 100,000? They settled on 20. 20 chickens? That's nothing, I said. And Lu Yi got suspicious because this supposedly ultra-rare heritage breed chicken apparently grows on trees wherever I'm from. He made me promise they'd be the same kind. I told him where I come from. There is no other kind. Which is completely true. In 1988, commercial breeds haven't invaded yet. Every chicken is a heritage chicken. They just don't know it. I did some quick math. In 1988, 5 pounds of cucumbers trades for 1 chicken. 5 pounds of cucumbers costs about 1.50 yuan. 1 chicken sells here for 120. That's 80 times profit. I scared myself with that number. Now, the bell pepper situation. I still owed that old man 200 yuan. So I smooth-talked him into letting me pay 300 now, take a partial load, and leave 200 as a deposit for the rest. He was skeptical. This kid can't even scrape together 500 bucks, and he's doing business. But he agreed. I had until sundown. Back at the apartment, I ran into Grandma Wu. She had big news. My household registration could get done today, but first she needed to ask me something. She looked dead serious. Tell me the truth. Are you a fugitive? Are the police looking for you? I almost fell over. Grandma, if I was a wanted man, would I be walking around in broad daylight trying to register with the government? That's literally turning myself in. She studied my face, decided I was telling the truth, and relaxed. Good. Just making sure. 1 o'clock, we go to the district office. I teleported back to 1988, checked on my cousin. Still asleep, the man could win Olympic gold. In napping, and crash for the night since I couldn't buy chickens in the dark. Next morning before dawn, I went to an early breakfast spot. Tofu pudding, buns, porridge, pickles. The breakfast of champions. And that's when I overheard 2 guys at the next table talking about something very interesting. Listen, bro, people are making crazy money running goods up north. 2 cans of food gets you a military coat. A few packs of noodles gets you a watch. Get some capital together, make 1 trip, and we're rich. My ears perked up like a hunting dog catching a scent. Trading goods across the border? In 1988? As if I didn't have enough business ventures already. Vegetables, chickens, pine nuts, and now possibly international trade. I took another bite of my bun and listened very carefully. So the 2 guys at breakfast kept arguing. The fat one wanted nothing to do with trading across the border. Those Russians are scary. I don't speak their weird language. What if something happens? The skinny one called him. A coward with no ambition. Classic buddy dynamic. I filed that information away for later and pulled out my phone in 2025 to research 1980s traders Soviet Union. Turns out the real money wasn't even the border stuff. It was the domestic, price dual-track system, where people with connections could buy goods at government prices and sell at market prices. Basically free money with zero effort. Some absolute legends supposedly traded canned food for an actual airplane from the Soviets. A plane. 4 cans of food. Humanity peaked right there. But that's a future project. First I need to learn Russian, and more importantly, I need to get my home base solid before going international. Short term, buy the TV. Medium term, lease that 1,000 acres of pine forest. Long term, open chain stores and maybe build factories producing stuff that's outdated in 2025, but cutting edge in 1988. World domination can wait until after New Year's. Anyway, chicken business. Went to the poultry guy in 1988 at the crack of dawn. 20 chickens, big ones. He thought I was joking. At first, buddy, it's -30 out here. You think I came outside for fun? He gave me a bulk discount, 1.2 yuan per pound. 20 birds, 102 pounds total, 122 yuan after rounding down. Loaded 20 flapping, squawking chickens onto my tricycle, found a quiet spot, and teleported the whole circus to 2025. Called Lu Yi. He showed up with the restaurant owner, Chinda. The guy inspected every single chicken like a jeweler examining diamonds. Nodded approvingly. Yep, genuine Northeast Songlin breed chickens. The price is 120, that work for you? I said sure, no problem, a deal's a deal. Then he said, let's weigh them. Weigh them? I was confused. We agreed on 120 per chicken, right? Why would we need a scale? But he's the buyer, so whatever. Maybe he just wants to check the sizes. except a tiny alarm bell was going off in my head. Lu Yi said 120. Chinda said 120. But nobody actually specified per chicken or per pound. And Chinda just said, let's weigh them. You don't weigh things you're selling by the unit. You weigh things you're selling by the pound. Which would mean, no way. Is it possible I've been thinking 120 per chicken this whole time when it was actually 120 per pound? These birds average 5 pounds each. That's 600 yuan per chicken. I paid $6 each. 100 times profit. My poker face was working overtime right now. On the outside, calm, professional nod. On the inside, my brain was doing backflips off a cliff into a swimming pool filled with money. So while I was out making money moves, Lan Weiwei was having her own little morning. She called her best friend Li Cici to ask for company going to the police station to file a report about the mugging. Cici's immediate reaction? Oh my god, did you get caught at some guy's place during a raid? You went out to have fun without me, and now you need help. Weiwei had to scream at her 3 times that she was actually almost killed before Cici finally took it seriously. Oh wait, for real? I'm coming right now. 2 hours later, 2 hours, Cici showed up looking like she was attending a corporate gala. Full makeup, gold-rimmed glasses, silk blouse, tight skirt, heels. Going to a police station. This woman treats every outing like a runway show. They talked about Weiwei's living situation. Cici keeps telling her to move somewhere safer, but Weiwei can't. Her grandma is sick and hospitalized. Her uncle passed away early. Her mom is unreliable. And every penny Weiwei saves goes to keeping grandma alive. She's basically carrying her whole family on an intern's salary while living in a sketchy urban village. Cici suggested finding a CEO Prince Charming to save her. Weiwei shot back. If one existed, you'd have jumped on him first. They both agreed that every so-called rich guy out there is either a mama's boy or an old dude whose belly is bigger than his wallet. Harsh but accurate. As they walked out, some delivery boy on an electric scooter spotted Weiwei, and his eyes lit up like Christmas. Hey Weiwei, going to eat? What a coincidence, me too. I'll treat you. Weiwei shut him down cold. Cici didn't even bother being polite. Just looked him up and down, clocked every piece of fake designer clothing on his body, and hit him with the most devastating eye roll in human history. The poor guy's smile froze on his face like someone hit pause on a tragedy. Then, the gate opened again, and in walked yours truly. Now let me set the scene. I had just discovered that those chickens are worth 120 per pound, not per chicken. My brain was still somewhere in orbit doing profit calculations. I was covered in dust, wearing clothes so old they'd faded to gray, pushing a beat-up tricycle, and my soul had basically left my body. I walked right past 2 gorgeous women without even seeing them. And that's when everyone's jaw hit the floor. Because Weiwei, the same Weiwei who just ice-cold rejected the delivery boy, walked up to me, grabbed my arm, started brushing dust off my shoulder, and said, in the most familiar, almost wifey tone, "Where have you been? Look at you, all dirty. Take that off. I'll wash it for you later." The delivery boy? Destroyed. Cici? Confused. Me? Still mentally calculating chicken profits and barely registering that a beautiful woman was touching my arm. In my defense, I had just realized I'm sitting on a gold mine of heritage poultry, and my brain literally could not process anything else. So let me tell you the moment my brain broke. Chindo weighed all 20 chickens, punched numbers into his calculator, and transferred the money. I opened WeChat and saw 5 digits staring back at me. 12,312 yuan. I counted the digits. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Rubbed my eyes. Counted again. Still 5 digits. Chinda saw my face and said casually, 102 pounds times 120 per pound equals 12,312. I didn't even round down. PR. Pound. This whole time. It was 120 per pound. Not per chicken. Per pound. My brain flatlined. Full system crash. Blue screen of death. I stood there looking like someone had just told me the earth was actually shaped like a chicken. Louis thought I was about to back out of the deal and got all serious. "Brother, you agreed to this price on the phone. Don't make me look bad." And Chinda was like, "Wait, did you skim money off the top?" I had to recover fast. Pulled out the smoothest save of my life. No. I'm just saying the price is too generous. Keep that 12 yuan change. Buy yourself some cigarettes. Chinda looked at me like I was the cheapest human alive. "Bro, it's 12 yuan. We're good. They drove off. I stood there alone, staring at my phone, doing math that was making me dizzy. I paid 1.2 yuan per pound in 1988. Sold for 120 per pound in 2025. That is exactly 100 times profit. On chickens. First thing I did, paid off all my debts. 1,200 to Boss Yang for the cucumbers. 500 to the pepper guy. Clean slate. Every debt gone. That felt incredible. Then my brain went into overdrive. If these chickens are worth that much, and I'm about to lease 1,000 acres of pine forest, that forest is perfect for raising chickens. Free-range heritage birds running through the pines. At 120 a pound, one chicken is worth 500 yuan. 10,000 chickens is 5 million. Plus pine nuts on top. I was basically designing a money-printing machine in my head while pedaling a rusty tricycle. I was so deep in fantasy land that I rolled into the courtyard without noticing Wei Wei and her friend standing right there. She grabbed my arm, started dusting off my jacket, and said, "Where have you been? You're filthy. Give me that coat, I'll wash it." I froze. Since when are we at the "let me wash your clothes" stage? Does she know I'm her father? I tried to refuse, but she hit me with, "Don't be polite with me. Just take it off," and reached for my buttons. I had to physically guard my jacket because, and this is embarrassing, I only own one coat. Told her that. The entire courtyard went silent. Everyone looking at me like I just said I live on the moon. Her friend Cece, dressed like she was going to a fashion show, not a police station, whispered loud enough for me to hear. "Who is that cute boy? You're not going cougar mode on him, are you?" Wei Wei told her I was her cousin. The delivery boy lurking nearby looked like he wanted to die because Wei Wei rejected his lunch invitation 2 minutes ago for being inconvenient, but is now personally grooming me in the courtyard. I turned down lunch because Grandma Wu and I had business at the police station. Big business. We went to the village office first. Turns out, the village chief is Grandma Wu's nephew, which explains how she pulled strings. Then to the station where I got photographed, swabbed for DNA, and officially registered. Once everything clears, I'll have an actual ID card. I'll be a real person in 2025. Grandma Wu spent an entire day running around for me yesterday to make this happen. A 70-something-year-old woman, on her feet all day, pulling favors for some random kid she met days ago. I don't know what I did to deserve her, but I'm going to make sure she never regrets it. Dropped her off at the park, rode home humming a song, feeling like the king of the world. And that's when I spotted it, the electronics shop I'd noticed my very first day in 2025. I promised my little sister a color TV. Time to go shopping. Walked into the electronics store looking for a TV. The owner remembered me from the other day. I looked around and everything was flat screens, folding screens, space-age nonsense. Can't bring any of that back to 1988. One look at a paper-thin TV and my cover is blown forever. "You got anything? Older? Big? With a fat butt on the back?" The owner looked at me like I'd lost my mind. "Bro, those haven't existed in decades. Try the secondhand market." So off I went. Rode the tricycle half an hour to this massive junk market on the edge of town. The place was insane. Mountains of old stuff everywhere. Industrial machines, fridges, pots, pans, and yes, adult products just casually sitting on tables. Truly something for everyone. Outside, guys were selling antiques. I heard one seller tell a customer his crappy vase was, from the Kangxi Emperor's era, 500,000 yuan. I walked away so fast I almost tripped. Couldn't afford to even make eye contact with that price. Then I spotted some old bicycles. My heart jumped. I need my own ride. Pointed at a classic Phoenix brand, 28 big bar, bicycle. 800 yuan. What? That bike costs 200 yuan brand new in 1988. You're telling me it appreciates over time? That's not how things are supposed to work. I pointed at another one. 1000. Still crazy. But then my business brain kicked in. The seller said only old bikes are valuable. New ones are cheap. So buying new ones in 1988 and bringing them here wouldn't work. But if I could get old, beat-up ones from villagers back home, trade them a shiny new bike, and take their rusty one, I could flip those here for 300 to 700 each. Not bad at all. Told the guy I'd bring one tomorrow. And Joya has a bike at home. What's hers is mine now, right? Right? Inside the market, I hunted for a big butt TV. First shop had a 2008 model for 100 yuan, too modern looking for 1988. Several shops later, everything was either too new or completely dead. Finally found a 1992 model, 24 inches. The owner plugged it in, and the screen actually lit up. Picture was fuzzy, but for 1988 standards, that thing would be the crown jewel of the entire village. Haggled them down to 300 yuan. He threw in a signal amplifier for free, so I wouldn't even need an antenna. Sold. While I was there, I grabbed some pots and pans for my 2025 apartment because I've been living like a caveman. Then spotted a little kid's tricycle. Bit rusty, but nothing a good wipe couldn't fix. Thought about my little sister riding it around, and my heart melted. 20 yuan. Done. Loaded everything up, brought it home, looked at my haul, a vintage TV, a tiny tricycle, kitchen supplies, and imagined my sister's face on New Year's morning. That was worth more than all the chicken money combined. Teleported back to 1988 feeling like Santa Claus with a time machine. Meanwhile, Weiwei finished her police report and got a video call from her mom. And here's the detail I missed. Her mom looked about 40-something. If she was really Lan Chunyan, my crush from back home, she'd be in her 50s by now. Way too young to be the same person. The names sound the same when you say them, but they're written with different characters. Two completely different women. And I still don't know that. Somewhere out there, a woman I've never met is panicking about her daughter's mugging, and I'm over here thinking she's my future wife. This misunderstanding is going to bite me eventually. I can feel it. Teleported back to 1988, and the cold hit me like a slap from God himself. Frost forming on my eyelashes. Face turning blue. Pedaled to the house, so fast my legs were a blur. Zhangde was outside looking worried. There's a guy in your house, snoring like a tractor engine. Is he yours? I told him it was just my cousin. The old man laughed. I thought it was a burglar at first, but then I figured what kind of thief robs a place and then takes a NAP. Fair point. Went inside and checked on Li Hong. Still asleep. Still snoring. This man slept through an entire night of me teleporting thousands of pounds of vegetables in and out of the next room. His sleeping abilities are genuinely supernatural. Woke him up and sent him to go find my parents and the relatives. While he was gone, I zipped back to 2025 and hauled the rest of the bell peppers over. Half the East Room was now packed with produce. Today's the 28th, tomorrow's New Year's Eve. The real money window is actually after New Year's, days 2 through 5, when everyone's hosting guests and visiting family. That's when every household wants fresh green vegetables on the table to show off. In this frozen wasteland where nobody's seen anything green since October, a plate of bell peppers is more impressive than a whole roast pig. Half an hour later, the whole clan showed up. Third aunt arrived first and grabbed me like I was a prize pig at the county fair, rubbing my head going, "My nephew. So successful. Making big money and still remembers his third auntie." I laid it on thick. How could I forget my favorite aunties? My aunt by marriage overheard and hit me with the guilt trip. "Oh sure, everyone is your favorite except me. The woman who fed you more meals than your own mother." Mom backed her up. "That's true. You spent more time at her stove than ours, so I started to make it right. Of course I also love my..." Paused for dramatic effect. Watched Andy's eyes light up with hope. "My uncle. She gave me the most nuclear eye roll of all time. You little ungrateful brat. Next time you come over, I'm feeding you nothing but plain corn porridge for a week." The whole yard exploded with laughter. Everyone piled inside. Third aunt's family of 4, aunt's family of 3, uncle and auntie, big sister, and her husband. The house was stuffed with people. Most came by horse cart. One family had a tractor. Last one in was my big sister, Lu Wenwan. She held my hand and asked softly, "Little brother, are you tired?" "Not tired at all," I said, grinning like an idiot. Because honestly, standing in a cramped room full of loud, teasing, loving family members arguing about corn porridge and who fed me more, this is what it's all about. This is why I'm hustling across 2 timelines. These people right here. Everyone piled inside, and the house was packed. Men gathered around the stove, women crammed onto the heated bed, and I stood there feeling like a shepherd who successfully gathered his flock. Quick note about my brother-in-law Chen Jianxing. He's got a bad leg, walks with a limp, and honestly, my feelings about him are complicated. His family basically bought my big sister with a 2,000 yuan bride price when Dad was in the hospital and we were desperate for cash. Felt like a transaction. But, and this is a big but, he treats my sister like gold. Good temper, good husband, no complaints. The only problem is his mother, who never lets my sister forget that bride money. Keeps throwing it in her face. Every time she does, Jianxing actually stands up and fires back at his own mom. Without that money, what woman would marry a cripple like me? Be grateful, so he's got backbone where it counts. Still, I've got a plan. Once I make enough money, I'm paying back every single yuan of that bride price and shutting that old witch's mouth permanently. Anyway, third aunt looked around the house and asked how much rent I was paying. Didn't rent it. Bought it. The room went dead silent. You could hear the wood crackling in the stove. Mom's eyes nearly popped out of her skull. You what? When? How do I not know about this? I tried to explain it was a smart investment. Buying is cheaper long term. I can resell later, blah blah blah. Even showed them the contract with the official seal. Mom snatched it out of my hands. Read it. Then looked at me with the fury of 1,000 suns. You bought a house without telling your mother? What's next? You gonna get married and have kids, and I'll hear about it from the neighbors. The aunties jumped in to calm her down. It's a good thing. He's building the family fortune. 700 yuan with free firewood. That's a steal. Most kids his age couldn't make this decision if you paid them. Mom's anger dropped from boiling to simmering. She gave me one final warning. Small stuff. Do whatever you want. But if you ever make a big decision without telling me again, don't bother telling me anything ever again. I nodded like a good boy. Then, because I apparently have a death wish, I mumbled. So, I also bought a TV. That's not a big deal, right? Wrong thing to say. Mom went from simmering to volcanic eruption in 0 seconds flat. A TV? You bought a TV too? How much? Where is it? I stammered something about it being a cheap used one from a friend in the city that hasn't arrived yet. Which is technically all true. Just leaving out the part where, the city, is 37 years in the future. Mom grabbed a broom from the corner. I'm going to beat some respect into you today. You think you're too grown for me to whip? Come here. Now look. I've been through this routine my entire life. She's never actually hit me hard. It's all performance. The broom is a prop. The yelling is the real punishment. But you gotta play along, especially in front of the relatives. Gotta give Mom her moment. So I covered my head and dove into the crowd of relatives like they were a human shield. The aunties grabbed Mom. Calm down, Guifang. Calm down. The whole room turned into absolute chaos. People laughing. Mom swinging the broom over everyone's heads. Me ducking behind third aunt like a 5-year-old. Just another normal family gathering in the Liu household. Mom calmed down after the broom incident. It was all theater anyway, and Dad got everyone focused on business. Time to divide territories. Our county has 4 towns around it. East, west, south, north. We assigned each family a town like generals dividing up a war map. Aunt gets west, she's got the tractor. Uncle gets south. Third aunt gets north. Big sister stays in east because of her husband's leg. An MY family. We're going to the county seat. The big leagues. Split up 3,000 pounds of cucumbers and 1,500 pounds of bell peppers between everyone. 500 pounds of cucumber per family, 200 of peppers. We took the biggest share, 1,000 pounds of cucumber and 700 of peppers, because the county is bigger and moves more volume. Loaded up. Covered the vegetables with straw, old clothes, and quilts so they wouldn't freeze. I crawled under the quilts because I'm not stupid. It's the coldest hour of the day, and we've got 20 kilometers on an ancient 1976 East Red tractor that tops out at 25 kilometers per hour. Took almost 2 hours. My feet went completely numb, and when I jumped off the truck, the pins and needles pain nearly made me cry. County seat was definitely a step up from our little town. Multi-story buildings, more shops, more people. I was rubbernecking like a tourist when Dad handed me a shopping list and said the most beautiful words a father can say to a son. You're a man now. This year, you handle the New Year's shopping. Looked at the list. Dad's handwriting was creative. Abbreviations and misspellings everywhere. But I got the gist. Pork, couplets, candy, firecrackers, candles, light bulbs, and about 20 other things. Walked around the county first to scope things out. The state-run department store had that classic dual pricing system. Cheap prices if you have ration tickets, expensive if you're paying cash. Of course, all the good stuff at the cheap price was already gone, skimmed off by the employees and resold at market price. Classic corruption. Won't matter much longer though. The whole system is getting dismantled in a couple months. Passed by an old Chinese medicine shop, and my brain went ding. This county sits at the edge of the biggest old-growth forest in the country. Wild ginseng, deer antler, all kinds of rare herbs growing in those mountains. Old Liu from our village found one wild ginseng root last year and sold it for 800 yuan, enough to get married on. And in 2025, that stuff is practically extinct and costs a fortune. Filed that under future empire number 7. Then came the shopping. I had 800 yuan in my pocket and absolutely zero self-control. Dad's list said 3 pounds of pork. I bought half a pig and had the butcher deliver it. List said 10 yuan of firecrackers. I bought 50 yuan worth. Half a sack. Everything on the list? Doubled at minimum. New clothes for mom, dad, grandma, both sisters, and big sister. Hired a cart to haul everything back. Mom saw the cart pull up and her eyes went so wide they almost fell out. Half a pig? Who buys half a pig for New Year's? Are you insane? We already have pork from before. That's enough meat for the entire first month. She wasn't wrong. Most families buy 3 to 5 pounds and consider themselves lucky. I bought enough to feed a small restaurant. I just stood there grinning. Didn't argue. Didn't explain. Just let her yell while the cart guy unloaded a mountain of New Year's goods. Mom saw the full haul. The meat, the firecrackers, the clothes, the candy, all of it. And her brain just short-circuited. Stood there with her mouth open, completely speechless. That's the face of a woman who realizes her teenage son just outshopped her entire lifetime of New Year's preparations in a single morning. You're welcome, Mom. Dad shut down Mom's rant with the ultimate power move. You can't control him anymore. After New Year's, we'll find him a wife and let her deal with him. Mom's first instinct was, why should some other woman control my son? Then it hit her that her baby boy was actually old enough to get married, and she got all emotional. She waved me over with this suspiciously gentle voice. Come here, sweetie. Mommy wants to talk. Nope. I've seen this movie before. That's the classic trap. Get close, feel safe, then BAM, pinch thighs for a week. I stayed exactly where I was. I can hear you fine from here, Mom. She gave me the money doesn't grow on trees lecture. Save for your future wife. Save for kids. A whole sack of firecrackers? They just go bang and disappear. Waste of money. I nodded at everything. Yes, Mom. You're right, Mom. Absolutely, Mom. 0% of it entered my brain. She knew I wasn't listening, but before she could attack, a customer showed up and she had to go sell cucumbers. Her parting words, wait till we get home. Noted. We'll avoid home. Sold everything that day. All 1,500 pounds of cucumber and 700 pounds of peppers, cleaned out completely. Mom was so happy she stuffed the money pouch under her shirt against her skin and patted it like a baby. Nothing makes that woman happier than a fat stack of cash pressed against her belly. The ride home on the tractor nearly killed me. Over an hour in negative whatever temperature, huddled under a quilt with my cousin, teeth chattering so hard I thought they'd crack. Li Hung said they were late because the tractor wouldn't start in the cold, had to literally light a fire under the engine to warm it up. 1976 technology at its finest. He said West Town was insane. People heard 1 yuan per pound and went into a feeding frenzy. Could have sold double. Jumped off the tractor at my little house, and my frozen feet hit the ground like 2 blocks of ice. Inside. Now, before we die. Big sister was waiting. She grabbed my face with her warm hands, marched me inside, pulled off my shoes, and shoved me onto the hottest spot on the heated bed. That woman treats me like I'm 5 years old, and I love every second of it. She even put my shoes by the stove to warm up. Big sister energy is unmatched. Everyone gathered inside and started counting money. The math was simple. Each family sold about 700 pounds, minus cost and my cut, and walked away with over 200 yuan each. In one afternoon, third aunt was practically screaming. 200 in one day? That's half a year of farming. Everyone was buzzing. The sound of bills being counted filled the room like music. Mom was the happiest of all since our county hall was the biggest. Even she couldn't help smiling. I saw my opening. While everyone was chatting, I quietly tried to pocket my share of the profits before Mom noticed. A hand slammed down on mine. Let go of that money, Mom. Of course. The woman has radar for cash. I can teleport across 37 years of time, but I cannot sneak money past Lu Guifang. Busted. Time to split the money. Almost 5,000 yuan sitting on the table in fat stacks. Each of the 4 families took home over 200 yuan profit. The rest, over 4,000, was mine. I reached for it. Mom's hand came down like a cobra strike. Don't you dare, Mom. Are you seriously going to turn on your own flesh and blood over some cash? Shut it. After yesterday's shopping spree, this money is going into my custody. You want to spend? You ask me. I knew I wasn't winning this war today. But here's the thing, let her hold it. Let her feel powerful. Tomorrow I'll sweet-talk every last yuan back out of her. For now, I'll just take half. I put on my best, wrongly accused innocent man, face. Mom, I need to pay my supplier. The vegetables didn't fall from the sky. She thought about it. Fair point. Counted out 2,500 and handed it over. The remaining 1,700 went straight into her inside pocket, pressed against her body like a newborn baby. She even patted it. Everyone headed home before dark. On the way through town, I suddenly remembered the TV and the tricycle. Still sitting in 2025. Uncle, stop. I forgot something. Mom immediately went on high alert. What did you buy now? I jumped off, ducked into an alley, teleported to 2025, grabbed the TV in a sack and the little tricycle, and came back out looking completely normal. Just a guy casually emerging from an alley carrying a 60-pound sack and a children's vehicle. Nothing suspicious at all. Everyone stared at the little tricycle. In this era, kids' bikes like that only exist as props in photo studios. Nobody actually OWNS one. Dad smiled. For little sis? I nodded. Obviously. Then Mom zeroed in on the sack. What's in that? The TV. The used one. It's not broken, right? Would I buy a broken one? She squinted at the sack. Then squinted harder. Something was bothering her. Why does this TV look so big? Because in 1988, TVs are 14 inches. Maybe 16 if you're rich. My TV is 24 inches. It's basically an IMAX screen by local standards. I tried to rush past this moment. It's dark. Let's go home. We can look later, but Mom is a detective when money is involved. She shoved my hand aside, ripped open the sack, and saw it. A massive, gleaming black television set. Auntie nearly choked. What kind of TV is that? Why is it so enormous? Mom froze. Hand in the air. Brain computing how much this, used, TV actually cost. I saw the slap forming. Her hand went up. She looked at my ears, red and frozen from the cold. And the hand came back down. She just sighed the deepest sigh of her entire life. You little ancestor. I give up. Do whatever you want. I can't control you anymore. Quick, deploy the receipt. I whipped out the paper from the second-hand market. 200 yuan. See, right here. Black and white. The guy didn't even write a date on it, which is perfect because, which is just how they do things at that shop. Mom grabbed the receipt, read, TV, 200 yuan, and her face did a complete 180. Anger melted into delight. 200? For this monster? That's a steal. Uncle turned around from driving the cart, jaw-dropping. A TV that big for 200? What's wrong with it? Nothing's wrong with it, Uncle. It's just from the future, that's all. 37 years of technological progress crammed into a bargain price, because in 2025, this thing is literally garbage. But here in 1988, I just brought home the biggest television in the entire village for the price of a decent coat. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, family. I told everyone the TV came from a big company upgrading their equipment. My friend got the hookup, they just wanted it gone. Nobody questioned it because in 1988, everyone is flipping goods. There's a saying, out of 1 billion people, 900 million are hustling, and the other 100 million are looking for something to hustle. So a cheap TV through connections? Totally normal. Auntie was caressing the TV like it was a kitten. Even at 500 this would be a deal. Mom went from angry to glowing. She realized this is the biggest television not just in our village, not just in our district, but possibly in the entire town. The Liu family has the only one. Exclusive. Then Mom hit me with the guilt. We can't just take advantage of your friend like this. We need to pay them back somehow. I'm standing there thinking, pay who back? The second-hand market guy in 2025 who was happy to dump a piece of ancient junk for 300 bucks? But I just said, he's from the city, super rich, doesn't need anything, and Mom still insisted on finding a way to repay this imaginary person. This woman's moral compass is stronger than my time travel abilities. We pulled into the village, and my little sisters came flying out like 2 little missiles. Red cheeks, bright eyes, bouncing around the cart screaming, Dad. MOM. Big brother, and that attracted the neighbors. Old man once squinted over. The Lou boy is back? Went shopping. Our east side neighbor Tian said he'd heard we were doing business in town. Then Su Honglin, the neighborhood hater, father of those two brats who bullied me, sneered. Ludahai doing business? With what money? Mice walk into that house and leave crying. Classic hater energy. But he was about to eat every single word. The guys wandered over to our cart and saw it piled high with stuff under quilts. They asked Dad what he bought. Now, my father has been waiting for this moment his entire life. A man who can brag about nothing and make it sound epic? Give him actual achievements, and he becomes unstoppable. He put on his most casual voice, oh this old thing, energy, and started listing. Oh, nothing much. Half a pig. 100 yuan of firecrackers for the kids. New clothes for the whole family. Little tricycle for my youngest daughter. Oh, and he paused. Perfectly timed. Maximum dramatic effect. A 24-inch imported color television. Cost about, I dunno, 3 or 5,000. 3 or 5,000. Mom told me I paid 200. Dad just multiplied the price by 15 to flex on the neighbors. This man is a legend. The whole crowd gasped so hard they nearly inhaled the snow. Tian's eyes went the size of dinner plates. The village gossip tried to touch it, and Dad slapped his hand away. Careful. This is delicate equipment, like he was guarding the crown jewels. And Su Honglin, the hater? Standing there with his mouth open, face cycling through colors like a broken traffic light. Not a single word coming out. Beautiful. I wish I had a camera from 2025 to capture that expression forever. Mom, the same woman who was chasing me with a broom this morning, was now beaming like the sun, inviting everyone inside to see the TV. All that anger about me, wasting money, gone, replaced by pure, undiluted pride. Nothing heals a mother's fury faster than becoming the most envied woman in the village. The neighbors helped carry everything inside. 2 guys hauled the half-pig and nearly threw out their backs. 100 pounds of pork? Are you opening a butcher shop? Nope. Just a family that went from mice cry when they visit to the richest house on the block in less than a week. You're welcome, Dad. Flex all you want. You've earned it. Dad was on cloud 9, standing there pretending to be humble while flexing harder than any human has flexed in the history of this village. Oh, this is nothing. We still have meat stored at home. I would have bought a whole pig, but I didn't want it to go to waste. Meanwhile, Su Honglin, the hater who said mice leave our house crying, was standing in the corner looking like he swallowed a lemon wrapped in battery acid. Every single compliment the neighbors threw at us was another slap across his face. Beautiful. They unwrapped the TV, and the whole room lost its mind. Everyone immediately started comparing it to Su Honglin's crappy 14-inch black and white set. This is twice the size of Honglin's. One of these is worth 50 of Honglin's. Poor guy was standing right there getting roasted alive. He was practically vibrating with rage, but couldn't say a word. Then someone yelled, "Turn it on," and Dad panicked because he has absolutely no idea how to operate this thing. He covered it smoothly though. "Son, come work this fancy machine. Us old folks can't figure out this new technology." Classic Dad move. Take credit for buying it. Delegate the hard part. Someone noticed there was no antenna pole on the roof. In 1988, you need a giant wooden stick with metal arms on top of your house to get signal. And someone has to go outside and rotate it while people inside scream, "Stop. That's good. Don't move." And if lightning hits it, your TV dies. Fun times. Dad started making excuses about setting up the antenna tomorrow. But I walked out holding the signal amplifier, this tiny black box, and plugged it in. Don't need an antenna. This does it all. Hit the power button. The screen came alive instantly. No static. No snow. No fuzzy nonsense. Just crisp, vivid, full-color television like these people have never seen in their lives. The room erupted. Look at his face. You can see the red in his cheeks. The screen is like water. So clear. It's like being at the movies. No antenna and still this clear? Imported technology is something else. And of course, this makes Su Honglin's little black box look like a joke. Honglin's face was now the color of a cast iron pan. Just pure darkness. But the best part was still coming. Someone asked how to change the channel since there's no dial to twist. I held up the remote control. Dead silence. Everyone staring at this little black rectangle in my hand. I pressed a button. The channel changed. From across the room. The place went nuclear. He didn't even get up. How? How did it change? He's commanding it from the bed. Foreigners' brains must be built different. I kept going. Volume up, volume down. Brightness. Color adjustment. Mute. Every button press was met with another round of screaming like I was performing actual sorcery. These people had never imagined you could control a machine without touching it. Dad stood next to me with his back straighter than it's ever been in his life. Chest out. Chin up. The proudest rooster in the hen house. This man went from too poor to feed his family to owner of the most advanced piece of technology in the entire township in less than a week. And somewhere in the back of the room, Su-Hong Lin was quietly questioning every life choice that led him to this moment. So while Dad was inside basking in the glory of the TV like a king on his throne, my little sister Wenhui was outside running her own flex operation. She had every kid in the village lined up to ride the tricycle, lined up like it was a theme park ride. She was standing there like a tiny empress. Form a line, one ride each. Be careful with my vehicle. The girl is 7 and already has better crowd management skills than most adults. Then Su Erbao showed up, the younger brother of Su Debao, my neighborhood bully. He wanted a turn. My sister shut him down so hard it should be studied in schools. No. Last time I went to your house to watch TV, your mom slammed the door in my face and said no outsiders allowed. So MY Tricycle is also not for outsiders. Bye. The kid tried to negotiate. I'll let you watch our TV every day. I'll sneak you in. My sister hit him with a knockout blow. Who needs your crappy little black and white box? My brother bought us a color TV that's 100 times better. I'm never coming to your house again. That's my sister. Savage runs in the family. The kid burst into tears and ran home screaming. Told his mom the whole story. His mom, Wang Guiying, who already hated me from before, went nuclear. Threw her vegetables into a basin, splashing water everywhere, cursing our entire family. Then when Su Debao walked in, she started screaming at him to go beat me up. Debao fired back. I would if I could find him. He's been gone for days. What do you want me to do? Kicked down his door. Then their dad, Su-Hong Lin, walked in. The same guy who just spent an hour at our house watching our TV while dying inside from jealousy. He was so full of rage he did what every frustrated father does. Took it out on his son. Look at Lu Wei, 2 years younger than you. Making hundreds a day. Bought a color TV. And you? You can't even fart out a single achievement. I'm disgusted looking at you. So the dad who 5 minutes ago was calling us poor is now using me as the gold standard to shame his own son. The irony is so thick you could cut it with a knife. Debao exploded, kicked a stool across the room, screamed, "Fine, I'm garbage. I'm leaving," and stormed out into the freezing night. And where did he go? Straight to the village troublemaker headquarters, Jiang Dalong's house. The 3 village delinquents, Debao, Dalong, and Wang Chongqing. They were already drinking. Debao kicked the door open, grabbed a bottle of liquor, chugged it, and started ranting. These 3 idiots are definitely plotting something stupid. I can feel it in my bones. But right now, I'm sitting on a warm bed, watching color TV, surrounded by family, with money in my pocket and a chicken empire in the works. Let them plot. I've got time travel. What do they have? A bottle of cheap booze and hurt feelings. Good luck with that. So while I was passed out in my room, several things were happening that I only found out about later. First, Su Debao. That idiot stormed into Jiang Dalong's shack, chugged half a bottle of liquor, and started ranting about me. Apparently, my family buying a color TV was a personal attack on his dignity. He convinced his 2 loser buddies, Dalong and Wang Chongqing, to ambush me sometime when I'm alone. Rob me, beat me up, teach me a lesson. Their grand motivation? They were drinking with nothing but a plate of pickled cabbage and figured if they jumped me, they could afford better snacks. 3 grown men plotting a violent robbery. For snack money. The bravest one, Chongqing, actually hesitated. What if we get in trouble? Debao slammed the table. I'll take the blame. You guys chickening out? And just like that, peer pressure and cheap alcohol created a criminal conspiracy. They started planning how to track my movements and find me alone. Good luck, boys. Half the time, I'm not even in this century. Meanwhile, back at my house, the neighbors finally left after watching TV for hours. The floor was covered in sunflower seed shells and leftover tea. Mom and Dad cleaned up without a single complaint. Having that many guests means you're respected. That's currency in village life. Mom sewed a fancy cover for the TV with decorative edges. treated that machine like it was made of solid gold. Dad washed every teacup by hand. These two were glowing. I wanted to sneak out and visit Joya. It had been 2 days and I was going crazy missing her. But the second my head hit the pillow, I was gone. Didn't even get my clothes off. Mom came in, pulled off my shoes, woke me just enough to strip down to my underwear, tucked me in like I was 5 years old, and turned off the light. Then she got into bed with Dad, and they had the conversation. The one every Chinese parent eventually has about their son. He's changed so much. He's like a different person. So capable, but also kind of mysterious, Dad agreed. It's good. He's got guts. But yeah, the money is coming in a little too fast. Then Mom dropped the bomb. He's 18. We should find him a wife. In 1988 rural China, 18 is prime marriage age. Some girls get married at 16. So this isn't crazy talk. This is serious parental planning. Dad was immediately on board. After New Year's, I'll ask around the nearby villages. Then they started really dreaming. Mom said if we're getting a daughter-in-law, we need a new house. Can't bring a bride into a mud shack. Dad suggested a half-brick house. Mom shot that down instantly. Half-brick? That's ugly. If we're building, we're going full brick. Floor to ceiling. Dad almost had a heart attack. Full brick? That's 5 or 6,000 yuan. Mom did the math. We made over 1,000 today. Even at half that pace, we'll have enough in 2 weeks. Dad's eyes lit up. He was already picking out the land in his head. Full brick house. First one in the entire district. The flex to end all flexes. They agreed to build me a separate house so the future daughter-in-law wouldn't have to live with Mom. Smart move. Mom admitted her own temper is like a firecracker, and she'd probably fight with any woman sharing her kitchen. Dad laughed. Oh, so you know you have a bad temper? Like yours is any better? Now shut up and go to sleep. Then Dad tried to initiate. Well, adult activities. Hey, it's been a few days since and on that note, I'm extremely glad I was unconscious in the next room. My parents are planning my wedding, designing my house, and apparently still have energy for that after the day we just had. Meanwhile, 3 idiots are plotting to jump me. I have a chicken empire to build, a possible daughter in 2025, a secret girlfriend, and a pine forest to lease. But sure, Mom, let's add wife shopping to the list. Why not? That night, the village shop was packed. Card games, gambling, smoking, chaos. And right in the middle of it all, this guy Mai Tai, the village loudmouth, burst in and started telling everyone about our TV. 24 inches. Imported. Color. You can change channels from the bed. The whole room went silent. Cards dropped. Jaws dropped. Someone called him a liar. Mai Tai nearly flipped the table. I saw it with my own eyes. I was there for hours. They bought half a pig too. And firecrackers. And new clothes. The whole cart was full, and behind the counter, Joya was pretending to knit while hanging on every single word. 2 days without seeing me, and she'd been going crazy. Now she's hearing I'm basically the village success story of the decade. I could feel her pride from across the timeline. She was sitting there trying not to smile, thinking, that little troublemaker better show up tonight. Sorry, babe. I was already unconscious. The past few days finally caught up with me, and I slept like the dead. Bang. A firecracker woke me up on New Year's Eve morning. I stretched and felt like a brand new person. Every bone in my body was thanking me for finally giving them a proper rest. Walked out of my room and got hit by the most incredible wall of smell. All 3 stoves were going full blast. Dad was deep frying meatballs and pork chunks, golden and crispy. Mom was steaming a massive red glazed carp. A pot of braised pork belly was bubbling away. The whole house was a cloud of steam and meat-scented heaven. See, because we'd been out selling vegetables for days, we hadn't prepped any of the New Year's food that normal families start making a week in advance. So now my parents were in emergency cooking mode, trying to cram a week's worth of food prep into one morning. Mom saw me and smiled through the steam, sweat on her forehead. Morning sleepyhead. Wash your face. Grab some fried pork if you're hungry. Dinner's still a while. Just a few days ago, this family was so poor that neighbors joked mice leave our house crying. Now we've got half a pig being prepared across 3 stoves, a 24-inch color TV in the living room, and the entire village talking about us. Meanwhile, those 3 idiots are somewhere plotting to jump me. And Joya is knitting aggressively while wondering where I am. And in 2025, Lan Weiwei is probably planning that hot pot dinner. And my parents are already house hunting for my future wedding. But right now, standing in a steamy kitchen on New Year's Eve, watching my parents cook the biggest feast this family has ever had, listening to firecrackers pop outside, this is perfect. This is exactly what I've been working for. Now somebody pass me those fried meatballs before Dad eats them all. New Year's Eve morning. Helped Dad fry meat. Stole a piece straight from the strainer. Crispy outside, juicy inside. Incredible. Complimented Dad's cooking, and he puffed up like a peacock. Nobody in this village can match MY skills. To be fair, he's not wrong. Grandma was a production team cook. Dad inherited the talent, and every wedding and funeral in the village wants him running the kitchen. Mom sent me to paste up spring festival couplets with my little sister. Wenwei's contribution? Standing below me eating fried meatballs while yelling left? No, more left. Perfect. Like a tiny construction foreman. We plastered red paper everywhere. Gates, doors, pig pen. Fat pigs fill the pen. 5 grains abundant. Good fortune when you step outside. Not a single surface escaped. Then Mom needed soy sauce from the shop. My sister was supposed to go, but my brain screamed "Joe, why?" and my mouth said, "I'll go. It's too cold for her." Before I even finished thinking. Mom didn't suspect a thing. Bless her. Got to the shop and heard voices before I walked in. Zhouya's former mother-in-law was there, giving her the usual guilt trip. Come eat New Year's dinner with us. You're still family. A widow alone in a shop looks bad. Maybe you should let your brother-in-law run this store. There it is. The old witch's real agenda. She wants the shop for her other son. Same game, different day. Zhouya shut her down cold. The deed and the license are in MY name. How I run it is MY business. Happy New Year. Go home. The old lady sputtered and stormed out, nearly crashing into me at the door. I walked in pretending I'd just arrived. Zhouya's face went from tense to soft the second she saw me. Then she covered it up immediately. Oh, the big busy man has time to visit. 2 days without seeing me, and she was salty about it. Fair enough. I put the soy sauce bottle on the counter and asked if she was okay. She sighed and said it's the same old routine. Mother-in-law shows up every few weeks trying to steal the business for her useless older son. The guy can't count to 10 on his fingers, and he's going to run a store. Then she dropped a bombshell. She wants to sell the shop and house, move to town, and open a clothing store. My brain went into business mode instantly. She's absolutely right. The late 80s are the dawn of private enterprise. Fashion retail is about to explode, and I can supply her with clothes from 2025 at prices nobody can compete with. Long term, we could open a whole factory. Plus, and this is the part one didn't say out loud, if she moves to town, she's closer to me. No more midnight wall-climbing missions across a frozen village. I think it's a great idea. Town needs a good clothing store. Way better than sitting here fighting off your in-laws. Her face lit up like I just handed her the moon. You really think so? Then after New Year's, I'm going to start looking for a place. This woman went from sad and cornered to excited and hopeful in 30 seconds. All she needed was someone to say, yes, you can do this. And honestly, with me supplying inventory from 37 years in the future, she's not just going to succeed. She's going to dominate. Zhouya said she wanted to open a clothing store in town. I said forget town, go to the county seat. 10 times the population, 10 times the customers. Town is small potatoes. County is the starting line, then eventually the provincial capital, then who knows where. She rolled her eyes. Sure, why not the capital while we're dreaming? Who's paying for all this? County rent is thousands a year. I pulled her into my arms. You're my woman now. Money is MY problem. Your only job is to be the boss lady. She went red and tried to push me away. Someone could walk in, but I wasn't letting go. 2 days without seeing her, and I was starving. Asked for a kiss. She asked why I didn't come last night. I told her the truth. Planned to come after the TV crowd left, accidentally fell asleep instead. She poked my chest and called me a donkey with no self-control, which, honestly, fair. Then she shoved me out the door before things escalated. Got home, and Mom immediately started nagging about how long it takes to buy soy sauce. I played the sympathy card. Told her I walked in on Zhouya's mother-in-law trying to steal her business again, and that my Annie is all alone on New Year's Eve with nobody to celebrate with. Mom's heart melted instantly. Poor thing. When the meat's ready, bring her a bowl. Dad finished his legendary braised pork, the man's signature dish, slow-cooked 5-flour pork that falls apart on your tongue, and started organizing deliveries. Bowl for Grandma. Bowl for the East neighbor. Then he paused awkwardly. What about the West neighbor? The Su family. Mom thought about it. We had that whole fight with Wang Guiying. Relations are basically frozen. But Mom decided to send them food anyway. How others act is their business. How we act is ours. We're not petty enough to withhold a bowl of meat over some drama. Dad nodded. A general on the march doesn't chase rabbits. I respect that. But I still didn't want to go to their house personally, so I volunteered for the grandma and Joya deliveries and sent my little sister. To the Su household. Problem solved. Loaded up a basket, chicken, 2 bowls of braised pork, and secretly tucked in an apple and a banana. Fresh fruit in the dead of winter up here is basically jewelry. Joya was in her little kitchen making a sad little stir-fry for one. Wood-ear mushrooms and a tiny fish someone gave her. New Year's Eve dinner for a woman alone. I put the basket on the counter and uncovered it. The smell of Dad's braised pork filled the room. Brought you some food. Can't have you eating alone on New Year's. Then I pulled out the apple and the banana. Put them on the table. She looked at the steaming bowls of meat, then at the fruit, and her eyes went red. She ducked her head fast, trying to hide it. Why'd you bring so much? I can't eat all this. Then eat it slow. I couldn't stay. If I watched her cry, I was going to lose it too, and I've got a reputation to maintain. So I turned around and walked out fast. But I know she stood there for a long time after I left, staring at that food. Sometimes it's not about the meat or the fruit. It's about someone remembering you exist when the whole world seems to have forgotten. This New Year's Eve just got a little warmer for both of us. Got home from delivering food, and it was go time. Mom yelling to set off firecrackers before lunch. I grabbed the whole arsenal from the shed. Dad saw me carrying that pile of red explosives, and his eyes went full child mode. Dropped his plate of fried eggplant mid-step. Wait for me. Give me half. Mom watched us fighting over fireworks like 2 kids on Christmas morning and just shook her head. How old are you two? We didn't care. We had negotiations to conduct. 18 double bangers. I'll give you 5. 5? You think I can't count? Give me 9. Fine, 9. But the thunder crackers. Half. There's only 4. You said 6 earlier. We literally argued over every single firecracker like we were dividing an inheritance. Finally reached a peace deal. Dad got 9 double bangers and 3 thunders. He was beaming. Hung the 10,000-shot megastring on the pole. I lit it and Dad grabbed me. Run. And the whole world exploded. Red paper confetti everywhere. The noise went on for several minutes straight. Loudest thing this village has ever heard. Every kid in the neighborhood was watching from a distance, waiting to rush in and scavenge duds the second we finished. Then Dad and I took turns launching double bangers into the sky like it was a competition. The thunder crackers shook the actual ground. We were frozen solid but grinning ear to ear. Meanwhile, next door, the Su family was eating their sad little lunch. 1 chicken, a few stir-fries, and the bowl of pork my family sent them. Wang Guiying looked at that meat and quietly told DeBeo, maybe forget about that plan to beat up Lu Wei. Even SHE felt weird about eating our food and then jumping our kid. DeBeo hesitated, then nodded. 1 bowl of braised pork just saved me from an ambush. Thanks Dad's cooking. Mom called us in. The table was insane. Chicken stew with mushrooms, braised carp, spare ribs, braised pork, fried eggplant, sweet and sour pork, cold dishes. The whole spread barely fit on the table. The 24-inch TV glowing in the background. A real New Year's feast for the first time in this family's history. Dad put the fattest piece of pork in my bowl. Goodyear. All because of my son. Mom gave me a chicken leg. You've gotten skinny running around. Eat. Little sis got jealous. Me too. And got her own chicken leg, which she attacked with oil running down her chin while pointing at the TV screaming about someone's outfit. Then Mom hit me with a curveball. She mentioned Joya and said the food delivery was very kind of me. Then her voice got that careful tone. Son, she's a widow. You're getting older. Don't get too close to her. You understand what I'm saying? I shoved a piece of pork in my mouth and pretended I didn't hear that. Too late, Mom. Way too late. Mom's comment about Joya being a widow almost made me choke on my food. I considered telling them right there. Actually, Mom, she's my girlfriend, and I've already seen things you don't want to know about. But it's New Year's Eve. Why drop a nuclear bomb on the happiest dinner we've ever had? I'll tell them later. When there's a grandchild involved, Mom will come around real fast. Don't worry, Mom. I know what I'm doing. Smoothest lie of my life. Then Dad got serious and asked the question. The one that's been bugging both of them. Son, where is all this money really coming from? Be honest. I was ready. Had the speech preloaded. I met a guy at the Yicheng Forestry Bureau. His department bulk orders produce from the city for year-end bonuses. I get the leftovers, stuff they picked through and rejected, at rock-bottom prices. It's just trading, riding the reform wave. The government literally says some people should get rich first. That's us. Beautiful. Half true, wrapped in policy talk, zero holes. They bought it completely. Dad exhaled like he'd been holding his breath for a week, raised his glass, and clinked it against mine. That's my boy. Mom immediately started dreaming about the brick house. Dad promised to apply for land in spring. I pushed further, told them after New Year's I want to rent a proper storefront in the county, sell vegetables and other goods, build a real business. Mom panicked. The county? That's expensive. What if it fails? Can't catch the wolf if you won't risk the baby, I said. Dad slammed his hand on his thigh. That's the Liu family spirit. Amayan, little sis raised her soda bottle. I support big brother too. She has zero idea what we're talking about, but her energy is unmatched. After lunch, Mom set out sunflower seeds and candy for the neighbors who'd inevitably show up to watch our TV. Dad sidled up to her with his best puppy eyes and whispered, "Can I have some money to go play cards?" She handed him 10 yuan. 10. Last year he got 3. Dad was glowing. "I'll win 100 and bring it back." "Sure you will. Just be home in time to make dumplings." He practically skipped out the door. Mom watched him go, and I could see the warmth in her eyes. She knows exactly what kind of man Dad is. Brags too much, drinks too much, smokes too much, gambles a little. But he works hard, cooks amazing food, never dodges heavy chores, and loves his family. Nobody's perfect. He's perfect enough. Little sis saw Dad get money and immediately launched Operation Cute. Grabbed Mom's arm. Big eyes, full charm offensive. "Mommy, I want 1 yuan for firecrackers." Got it instantly. Ran out squealing. That left me and Mom watching TV. She tried to give me 20 yuan and send me out to socialize. I said I'd rather stay in. She wasn't having it. "You're a young man. Go play with kids your age. How are you going to find me a daughter-in-law sitting on this bed? Go. Socialize." This woman's entire life mission has become getting me married. I've been making money for less than a week, and she's already got a house planned, a wife scheduled, and probably grandchildren penciled in for next fall. Mom literally kicked me out of the house. "Go socialize. Find a wife. You can't sit on this bed forever." Stepped outside and immediately ran into my village crew. Erlofzi, Wang Hai, Zhang Jianjun, huddled against a wall smoking hand-rolled cigarettes, noses running, faces frozen red, having the time of their lives doing absolutely nothing. "Dude, is it true you got a massive color TV?" "Yep. Come watch tonight." They lost their minds. Then Erlofzi had a brilliant plan. Dig a snow fort by the river, play cards, and when it gets dark, catch sparrows and roast them over a fire. Peak 1988 rural entertainment right there. Only problem, we needed a lantern for the dark part, and nobody had a glass jar. In this era, a used canning jar is basically a household treasure. Nobody's giving one up for kids to play with. I sighed. I'll handle the lantern situation. Went to the shop. Dad was in there slamming cards on the table like he was trying to break it. Trump card. A 2. Can't beat that. Full warrior energy over a game worth maybe 30 cents. Zhoya was behind the counter watching some ladies play mahjong. She smiled when she saw me. I kept it professional. "Annie, Happy New Year. 1 can of peaches, please." She handed it over. When she took my money, I squeezed her fingers. She shot me a death glare that said, "Not here, you idiot," and I walked away grinning like a criminal. The card players immediately started gossiping about me. "That Lu Wei kid is really something. My son is still asking me for firecracker money." Took the can to Grandma's house. Dumped the peaches into a bowl. Grandma watched me pour out perfectly good canned fruit just to get the bottle and shook her head. "My precious grandson, you bought a whole can of peaches just for the JR? You didn't dare do this at home because your mother would call you wasteful, right?" "No, Grandma. I bought it because I know you love peaches. It's a gift. That mouth of yours is your best feature." The neighbor grannies piled on with compliments. "Lu Wei is so capable. Bought a color TV. I always knew he was special." One grandma claimed she'd been predicting my greatness since I was a baby. "Sure you did, Grandmolly. Sure you did." I escaped the praise tornado and got to work. Cut a thick slice of radish, carved a hole in the center for a candle holder, stuck it in the jar bottom, inserted a red candle, tied string around the top. Boom. Perfect lantern. Glass jar means good light, windproof, and way tougher than paper. Cheapest engineering project in history. 2 yuan for a can of peaches, 1 radish, 1 candle, some string. MacGyver would be proud. Now to go catch some sparrows. Just finished making the lantern when my 2 little sisters burst in like tiny tornadoes and immediately wanted their own. Big eyes, grabbing my arms, offering me their New Year's pocket money. The full arsenal of little sister manipulation tactics. I gave them money to go buy their own cans of peaches. Grandma nearly had a stroke. You're buying canned fruit just for the jars? That's the most wasteful thing I've ever heard. People will laugh at us. Sit down, all of you. I'll go get empty bottles from the shop. Zoya has hundreds of them. I slapped my own forehead so hard it echoed. Of course. Zoya runs a store. She has more empty jars than she knows what to do with. I just spent 2 yuan on a can of peaches like a moron when I could have walked over and asked for free once. Stopped Grandma from going out in the dark. You'll slip on the ice. And went myself. Left the sisters attacking that bowl of canned peaches like tiny wolves. Got to the shop and asked Zoya for 2 empty bottles. She said they're in the backyard. I asked her to come show me where. She knew exactly what I was doing, but came anyway. Out back, she handed me 2 jars and asked why I didn't just come ask her in the first place. I said something dumb about not wanting to take her stuff for free. She pinched my arm. I'm already your woman, and you're being shy about 2 bottles? Say something that distant again, and see if I ever talk to you. We both went quiet. Standing in her dark backyard, fireworks popping in the distance, breathing a little too fast. I pulled her close. My fault. Let me make it up to you. 1 kiss. She glanced at the door to make sure nobody was watching. Then she closed her eyes and tilted her face up. That was all the invitation I needed. We stood there in that freezing, junk-filled backyard, kissing like it was the last night on Earth, surrounded by empty bottles and old crates, with the muffled sounds of card games and fireworks drifting over the wall. Not exactly a romantic movie setting. But honestly, it was perfect. Happy New Year to me. Zoya shoved me away gasping. Go back. People will get suspicious. I promise to come back tonight after everyone leaves. She whispered, okay, in a voice so tiny only dogs could hear it. Then frantically fixed her hair and collar and shooed me out. Made the lanterns for my sisters. They went nuts with happiness, running around the yard with their glowing jars like tiny lighthouse keepers. Headed to the river where the boys had dug out a snow cave. It was actually pretty impressive, carved into a massive snowbank several meters thick. Inside was tall enough to crouch around in, with hay on the floor and room for a group. But then I noticed the girls who'd shown up to help, and among them was Sue Lily, Shu Lili, my nemesis. Quick backstory. In school, I once drunkenly bragged I'd knock her up. Complete idiot teenager trash talk. She clearly heard about it because the second she saw me, her face went stiff and she turned away like I was radioactive. Here's the thing about Sue Lily. She is 1.90 meters tall. That's 6'3" for you international folks. She towers over me by a full head. And her proportions are equally exaggerated. I once accidentally ran into her face first in school, and my head bounced off her chest like hitting a trampoline. I literally fell on my butt. Everyone laughed. I've been traumatized ever since. And SHE somehow developed a crush on me after that. Used to grab me and hug me in school. Nearly suffocated me once. I now have a genuine psychological fear of her chest region. Every time I see those two approaching, my survival instincts kick in. Everyone around the fire was giving us weird looks and trying not to laugh. Erlfc mercifully changed the subject. I played down the whole making money thing when people asked. Told them it was no big deal, just helping out. They loved hearing that because apparently every parent in this village has been using me as a weapon. Why can't you be more like Luwei? They were suffering. Now they can fight back. He said it's nothing. We tried catching sparrows after dark. You shine a flashlight at them in their nests and they just freeze. But the firecrackers had scared most of them away. Caught maybe 6 total. Pathetic harvest. I grabbed 2, said, I'm out, and went home. The boys followed me because they wanted to see the TV, but my house was already packed wall to wall with neighbors. Standing room only. Spring Festival Gala hadn't even started yet, and people were glued to the news like it was the Super Bowl. The guys peeked in, realized there was 0 space, and left disappointed. I roasted my 2 sparrows in the stove embers, tore them apart, and gave the pieces to my sisters. Every other kid in the room watched them eat with raw hunger in their eyes. Sparrow meat in 1988 is basically caviar for children. Finally escaped to my room. Lay down on the warm bed. Heaven. Then I remembered something. Lying on the warm bed, I suddenly remembered. Wei Wei said she'd take me to dinner. 2 days here means a couple hours over there. She's probably been calling me nonstop. Jumped up, locked my door, and teleported to 2025. The second I materialized, my phone was buzzing like crazy. Multiple missed calls from Lan Wei Wei. Grabbed it fast. Where have you been? I called you 100 times. I thought something happened to you. I fell asleep with the phone on silent. Sorry. She calmed down immediately and said she'd come pick me up. I changed into my least embarrassing outfit, fixed my hair, and went to wait outside. A taxi pulled up. A real automobile. With seats. And buttons. And screens. This was my first time inside a car. Ever. In 1988, most people haven't even seen one up close. I tried to act casual while my brain was screaming. Grabbed the door handle, cold and smooth, and sat down like I'd done this a million times. Closed the door too gently twice before it actually latched. Sat ramrod straight with my hands on my knees like a soldier at inspection. The car smelled like perfume and leather. There were glowing screens on the dashboard, air blowing from little vents, everything shiny and magical. I was stealing glances at everything while trying desperately to look normal. Wei Wei asked what I wanted to eat. Before I could answer, her friendly Cece, riding shotgun, spun around and yelled, "Hot pot. I know a new Chongqing place." Wei Wei shut her down. "Did anyone ask you? You're here to mooch, not to order. Sit down." We went with hot pot anyway. The taxi drove through the city center, and I pressed my face to the window like a child at an aquarium. Neon lights everywhere. Elevated highways stacked on top of each other. Cars flowing like rivers. For a kid from a village where the fanciest technology is a 1976 tractor, this was like visiting another planet. Which technically it kind of was. The restaurant hit me like a wall of spicy beef-flavored steam. Inside was loud, bright, and packed. They sat us at a booth with a table that had a stove built into it, and a split pot, and bottles of stuff I couldn't identify. I had zero idea how any of this worked. Wei Wei started ordering at lightning speed. Tripe, beef, shrimp paste, duck intestine, brain, rattling off items I'd never heard of in my life. I just nodded at everything. Sounds good. You pick. She wanted to get dipping sauces. 3 options. I didn't know what any of them were. I'll eat anything. She smiled and said she'd make me the classic sesame oil and garlic one. The instant Wei Wei walked away, Cece transformed. She leaned across the table with this sneaky cat grin and whispered, "So, little brother, got a girlfriend?" And then, under the table, she ran her silk-stockinged leg against mine. My entire body short-circuited. I yanked my leg back so fast I almost kicked the table over. My face went from normal to tomato in about half a second. Ears burning. Brain offline. She cackled. Full body laughter. This woman just watched me defeat an armed mugger 3 days ago, and now she's watching me get demolished by a single touch of hosiery under a hot pot table. Fearless against knife-wielding criminals. Completely helpless against flirty women in silk stockings. My combat record remains uneven. Cece didn't stop. She got more excited by my reaction. Slid right into MY side of the booth. Perfume hit me like a chemical weapon. Sweet, dangerous, overwhelming. Then she put her face so close I could count her eyelashes and whispered, "Wanna be my boyfriend, little brother?" Her lips were right there. Cherry red. Shiny. My heart skipped and my throat went dry. But my brain was still functioning. This woman was playing with me like a cat batting a mouse around for entertainment. Then I saw Wei Wei coming back with the dipping sauces. Genius moment. I crossed my arms over my chest, threw myself backward against the seat, and squeaked in fake terror. I'm just a child. Please don't do weird things to me." Cece burst out laughing. But instead of backing off, she doubled down with a villain voice. "Don't be scared, little brother. Big sister just wants to play a little game." Li-si. Wei Wei's voice came from behind like a thunderclap from God. Cece's grin froze on her face like a screenshot. She got dragged to a corner for a private lecture. I watched from the table as Wei Wei scolded her, and Cece stood there with her palms pressed together begging for mercy, like a monk who got caught stealing temple donations. They came back. Wei Wei sat next to me this time. planted herself like a wall between me and the predator across the table. Then she became the world's most dedicated food server. Every 10 seconds, something new landed in my bowl. Try this beef throat. Just swish it 15 seconds. This tender beef has protein. You're still growing. This shrimp paste is super fresh. She barely ate anything herself. Just kept feeding me. And honestly, having my possible daughter fuss over me like this, making sure I ate well, worrying about my nutrition, it hit me somewhere deep, like a warm water bottle pressed against my chest on a cold night. I started feeding her back. Put beef in her bowl. You eat too. Work is tough. Take care of yourself. She looked at the meat I'd placed in her bowl, and her whole face went soft. We asked about the mugger case. He confessed to everything. Turns out he was already a wanted fugitive. Case is moving to trial. She might have to testify. I told her to call me if she needs anything. Meanwhile, Cece was sitting across from us watching this mutual food-sharing love fest and dying inside. She stabbed her fried dough stick with her chopsticks and muttered, "Do you two care about single people's feelings at all?" Then she dropped a dried bean into my bowl. "Here, try this." I looked at it. Dried string beans. I recoiled. I'm not eating that. Back home, we eat dried vegetables until we want to die. Dried potatoes, dried eggplant, dried everything. My buddy Errol C says even his poop smells like dried vegetables. Cece chewed one and said casually, "These are expensive though. More than meat. This tiny plate is like 20-something yuan. I almost choked on my shrimp paste. 20 yuan. For dried beans. The stuff that's literally piled in every single household back home. The stuff people are sick of eating. The stuff we consider poverty food." My business brain exploded. Again, chickens were 100 times profit. And now dried vegetables might be worth a fortune too? Everything in 1988 is apparently treasure in 2025. At this rate, I'm going to find out that the mud on my shoes is worth something. The bill came. 528 yuan. For one meal. In 1988 money, that's a strong farmer's entire yearly income. If Mom found out I ate a year's worth of labor in 2 hours, the broom wouldn't be enough. She'd upgrade to a shovel. Weiwei wanted to go shopping for clothes next. Walked into a proper mall, and I nearly fainted at the price tags. A basic sweater? Several hundred. A winter outfit? Over 1,000. I backed away from those racks like they were radioactive. What kind of lunatic spends that on clothes? Cece saved me. Let's go to the night market instead. Cheap clothes, way more fun. Weiwei accused her of just wanting street food. Cece's defense? I've been dieting for a whole week. I deserve a reward. 1 week. Revolutionary discipline right there. The night market blew my mind. An entire street lit up bright as daytime. Hundreds of stalls crammed together. Smoke and music and shouting everywhere. Food smells hitting me from every direction. Grilled squid, stinky tofu, roasted chestnuts, things I couldn't even identify. Weiwei kept buying me stuff to try. Iron plate noodles, cotton candy, milk tea. I'd never seen any of this before. Half a street in, and I was so stuffed I was waving the white flag. Weiwei declared we'd come back tomorrow to finish the street. Cece immediately volunteered. Weiwei said, "You're not invited." Cece screamed about betrayal and abandonment. Standard routine. Found the clothing section. Weiwei picked me out a padded jacket, jeans, and a wool sweater. 200-something total. She paid before I could even reach for my pocket. It's a thank you for saving me. I stood there holding the bag, feeling things I couldn't name. My possible daughter just bought her father clothes because in all the years she grew up, her father wasn't there to buy her anything. The guilt mixed with the warmth, and I had to swallow hard. Then I spotted a stall selling little watches. 20 yuan each. Plastic, digital, with date displays and glow features. In 1988, these would be treasures. Watches are one of the 3 big items for a wedding. People save up for months to buy one. I grabbed 3 immediately. Black one for Dad. Silver for Mom. A delicate one for Big Sister. Cartoon hair ties for my little sisters. Scarves for Grandma, Grandma Wu, and Auntie. A silver necklace for Joya. Weiwei noticed and asked why I was buying 3 watches. For a second, she thought maybe I was buying one for her and Cece. I could see something flicker across her face. But I said they were for people back home who'd helped me. She looked a tiny bit disappointed, then went soft again. He's so thoughtful, buying gifts for his village. Then she leaned close to my ear and whispered that these watches cost like 5 or 10 yuan online. Way cheaper than the stall price. Her breath was warm and smelled like shampoo, and I had to remind myself this is probably your daughter. Focus. Online, right, the internet, where you can buy anything for practically nothing and it shows up at your door. I filed that away for later. If watches are 5 yuan online, I could buy them by the hundred and sell them in 1988 for insane profit. Dried beans worth 20 yuan a plate. Watches online for $5. Chickens at 100 times markup. Every single thing I touch in this timeline turns to gold. At this rate, I'm scared to check what a bag of dirt costs in 2025. We were wrapping up the night when we dropped Cece off at her apartment. She was getting out of the taxi, and I thought it was over. Wrong. She spun around, grabbed my face, and kissed my cheek with the loudest, most dramatic MWH sound a human mouth has ever produced. Then yelled, "Bye-bye, little brother. Let's play again tomorrow," and sprinted into her building before Weiwei could murder her. Weiwei's face went through about 7 shades of fury in 2 seconds. Then she looked at me and forced herself to calm down. Just ignore her. She's always like that. No filter. No boundaries. No brain cells dedicated to appropriate behavior. I nodded, but honestly my brain was still rebooting from the sneak attack kiss. This woman has no rules of engagement. Got back to the courtyard and ran straight into Grandma Wu coming out to use the bathroom. She saw me and Weiwei stepping out of a taxi together, laughing, me carrying bags of stuff, and I could literally watch her mental matchmaking engine fire up in real time. Her eyes ping-ponged between us like she was calculating wedding dates. I gave her the scarf I'd bought, and she did the classic grandma thing. "You shouldn't waste money on me," while smiling so hard her wrinkles disappeared. Helped wrap it around her neck. She loved it. We chatted for 10 minutes, and she was practically glowing. Weiwei asked if Grandma Wu was a relative. I told her no. She's just been incredibly kind to me, helped me when I had nobody, so I adopted her as my grandmother. Weiwei gave me this look, like she was recalculating everything she knew about me. Another point in the "this kid is actually a good person" column. We said goodnight in the courtyard, went to my room, lay on the bed thinking about the whole evening. The food, Weiwei's kindness, Cece's guerrilla warfare kissing tactics, Grandma Wu's warmth. Then I got down to business. Pulled out my phone and searched dried vegetables on Pinduoduo. Even on the cheapest shopping app in existence, dried beans and mushrooms weren't cheap. That confirmed it. The stuff rotting in every pantry back in 1988 is genuinely valuable here. Then I searched electronic watches. Cece was right. 5 yuan. Some even less. Mechanical watches with metal bands? Also dirt cheap. 5 yuan here. Sold as a luxury item there. My brain was assembling business plans like a factory assembly line. Dried vegetables. Watches. Chickens. Pine nuts. Heritage breed livestock. Vintage bicycles. Wild herbs. Everything cheap in 1988 is expensive in 2025. Everything cheap in 2025 is expensive in 1988. I'm literally sitting on the world's most perfect arbitrage machine, and all I have to do is walk between rooms. Closed my phone, closed my eyes, and teleported back to 1988. Landed on my warm bed. Tomorrow's a new year, and I've got about 15 businesses to build. Back in 1988, only 10 minutes had passed. Hid all the gifts from 2025 deep under my blanket for a midnight surprise. Then my stomach growled. Loudly. Just ate 500 yuan worth of hot pot on the other side, and I'm hungry again? Apparently whatever I eat in 2025 doesn't carry over. Same body, different stomachs? My clothes come back with me, but the food doesn't? I tried to think about the physics of it, and gave up in about 30 seconds. I dropped out of middle school. I'm not solving interdimensional digestion theory tonight. Grabbed some braised pig's feet and went to town on them. Around 10, Mom sent me to fetch Dad from the card game. Tell him to stop playing and come home to make dumplings. Found Dad at the shop absolutely crushing it. He had a fat stack of bills in front of him, maybe 15 yuan, grinning like he'd just won the lottery. The 3 guys playing with him, Zhang Er, Li Jianguo, and Song Hai, were all smiles, congratulating him, telling him how amazing his card skills are. Dad reluctantly agreed to one more hand, then we left. I shot Joyo a look on the way out. She smiled back. Our entire relationship is conducted through micro-expressions and stolen glances. Very spy movie. We stepped outside into the freezing night. Then Dad stopped in his tracks, turned around, spat toward the shop window, and growled. Those 3 little snakes think they can set me up? They think I'm stupid? I was confused. What? Who's setting you up? Dad lit his pipe and dropped some wisdom on me. Son, those three let me win on purpose tonight. I could tell. Hands I should have lost. They played like idiots and fed me the win. Once is luck. 3 or 4 times. That's a trap. He broke down the whole scheme. Classic hustler move. Tonight was the bait. Let the mark win small, pump up his confidence, make him think he's got talent. Then tomorrow they invite him to Zhang Er's house. Private, no witnesses, and suggest bigger bets. By then the mark is feeling invincible, raises the stakes, and that's when they play for real and clean him out. Today's 15 yuan? That's bait. They're fishing for the big catch tomorrow. Everything I won tonight, plus 10 times more, would have gone right into their pockets. I was genuinely impressed. How'd you figure it out? Dad gave me this look, half insulted, half proud. Boy, you think your old man is dumb? I play cards maybe twice a year. Those guys play every day, and suddenly I'm beating them. My grandma plays better cards than I do, and she's been dead for 20 years. Then he got serious. Your grandpa on your mom's side fell for this exact same trick back in the day. Lost everything. The house, the land, all of it. You think I'd forget that lesson? So my father, the man who brags about everything, who told the neighbors the TV cost 5,000 when it cost 200, who begs mom for 10 yuan of card money, is actually a sharp operator underneath all that noise. He spotted a professional hustle that would have fooled most people, and he played along just enough to pocket their bait money without falling for the trap. Dad might be the smartest person in this village, and nobody even knows it because he's too busy pretending to be loud and dumb. Respect, old man. Respect. On the walk home I went quiet, which Dad knows is a bad sign. When I'm actually angry, I get calmer. The louder guys are the harmless ones. It's the quiet ones you worry about. Dad read the situation. Don't do anything crazy. They were probably only planning to take me for 200 or 300. I'll handle it. But my brain was already somewhere else entirely. This whole thing made me realize something bigger than 3-card cheats. Money alone isn't enough. We went from too poor for anyone to bother with to rich enough for everyone to scheme against. Without power behind the wealth, connections, status, protection, we're just a fat pig waiting to be slaughtered. Today it's 3 village hustlers. Tomorrow it could be someone with real authority who decides our little business needs to pay a tax. Or worse. I need to think bigger. Not just, how do I make money, but how do I make sure nobody can take it? Filed that under, problems to solve soon, and walked inside. The house was warm and alive. Mom and the girls were making dumplings on the heated bed, Spring Festival gala blasting on our famous TV. Dad switched from stone-cold strategist to goofy family man in literally 1 second. Smells great. What's on the show? Little sis was losing her mind because the Monkey King from Journey to the West showed up on the gala. Both sisters abandoned their dumplings and started jumping on the bed screaming, Sun Wukong. Sun Wukong. That show is the biggest thing in China right now. Entire country stops what they're doing to watch it. Near midnight, Dad and I went outside for the FAG ceremony, the most important New Year's ritual up here. We set up a small fire in the southeast corner of the yard, laid out offerings, steamed buns, dumplings, dishes, a cup of liquor, to welcome the gods and send money to our ancestors. Dad knelt by the fire looking genuinely solemn for once in his life, mumbling prayers for safety and prosperity. Meanwhile, I was on fireworks duty, lighting up everything we had left. The 10,000-shot string ripped through the silence, and within seconds the entire village erupted. Every direction, non-stop explosions, the sky lit up, smoke everywhere. New Year had officially arrived. The sacred moment lasted about 30 seconds before Dad jumped up, dusted snow off his knees, and charged at me. Save me some. Let me light a few. There's barely any left, Dad. You greedy little. You couldn't wait for your father? He snatched the incense stick from my hand and fired off the last few double bangers himself, then stood there pouting because there weren't more. This man just outsmarted 3 professional card hustlers, performed an ancient spiritual ceremony with the gravity of a priest, and is now sulking because his teenage son hogged the firecrackers. Happy New Year, 1989. We made it. Dad and I stumbled inside frozen solid, ears ringing from the fireworks, covered in snow and paper scraps, grinning like idiots. Mom was yelling about the dumplings getting cold. We sat down to eat. Spring Festival Gala on TV. hot dumplings steaming on the table. Dad was still complaining about the firecrackers. The morning ones are mine. Don't you dare touch them. Mom rolled her eyes. A grown man fighting his son over fireworks. Real dignified. After a few dumplings, I cleared my throat and got serious. Mom, Dad. Happy New Year, Dad laughed. Why so formal? I reached into my jacket and pulled out 2 little red paper packages. Pushed one to each parent. They unwrapped them. 2 brand new watches gleamed under the lamplight. Black for Dad, silver for Mom. Dad's face went through shock, disbelief, and then pure childlike joy. He held that watch like it was the Holy Grail. In 1988, a watch is one of the 3 big items. It's not jewelry, it's a status symbol. Having one means you've made it. He turned it over and over, tried it on, stretched his arm out to admire it, pulled it back, admired it again. Mom was torn between being touched and panicking about the cost. But it's New Year's Eve and her son just gave her the most thoughtful gift of her life. So the lecture stayed locked behind her teeth. My son is the most filial. Better than every other kid in this village combined, Dad puffed up. Obviously. Look whose genes he's got. Then little sis slammed her chopsticks down and charged at me. Grabbed my arm with both hands and looked up with eyes the size of dinner plates. What about me? You got stuff for Mom and Dad, but not me. The table erupted in laughter. I pulled out butterfly hair ribbons with sparkly sequins. Her eyes went supernova, snatched them, clutched them to her chest, and spent the next 10 minutes trying them on instead of eating. Got 2 more for cousin Wenfong as a New Year's gift. Then Mom asked the question I'd been waiting for. How much did these watches cost? I put down my chopsticks, leaned in, lowered my voice like I was sharing classified intelligence. These are samples. My friend down south works with a factory. They gave him these to test the market. Cost price? 10 yuan each. 10? Dad nearly choked. He stared at his wrist like the watch might evaporate. The cheapest watch at the local department store is 35 yuan, and those look like garbage compared to these. Mine has a calendar, glow in the dark, an alarm, and apparently water resistance. All for 10 bucks. Mom was stunned too. She doesn't know brands, but she knows quality when she sees it. I let the shock settle, then dropped the real pitch. I'm thinking, 10 yuan cost. We sell them for 28.90. What do you think? And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you turn a New Year's gift into a business proposal. Give your parents watches from the future, let them fall in love, then recruit them as your sales team. The Liu family watch empire begins now. Dad asked why 28.90 and not just 30. Mom said we could even charge 50 and people would pay. So I gave them their first lesson in pricing psychology. Grabbed an empty dumpling plate and some peanuts as visual aids because my parents learned best with props. If you say 30, the buyer thinks 30. Big round scary number. How much pork is that? How much fabric? Too expensive. But if you say 28.90, their brain hears 28 something. Not even 29. Suddenly it feels like a bargain. Same watch. 1 yuan difference. But the mental gap between 28 and 30 is enormous. Dad stared at me like I'd just explained the meaning of life using peanuts. Also, that weird decimal makes it look like we calculated the price down to the last penny. Like this is the absolute rock bottom, no room to negotiate, honest-to-God cost price. People trust ugly numbers more than round ones. Dad slapped his thigh so hard I thought he'd bruise it. Where did your brain come from? Mom claimed credit immediately. He gets it from me. I've always been the smart one. Dad fired back. You didn't even finish 4th grade. Still better than you. You repeated 3rd grade twice. Parents arguing about whose DNA made me a business genius while I sit here knowing I literally stole this concept from a night market in 2025 3 hours ago. But sure, it's genetics. Then came the real play. The watches, the pricing lesson, the whole performance. It was all set up for one question. So, Mom, about the startup capital. Maybe we could use some of that vegetable money you're holding. Mom's smile froze. I watched her brain replay the entire evening in fast forward. The gifts, the business pitch, the pricing lecture, and arrive at the conclusion. This little con artist has been working me this whole time. She poked my forehead. You were waiting for this, weren't you? This whole song and dance was to get into my wallet. Dad was laughing. Let the boy handle the money. He's smarter than both of us. Mom eventually caved. Fine. When you need it, ask me. I won't hold you back. Victory. The vault is open. After cleanup, I told Mom I was going to hang out with C and the boys overnight. She bought it. New Year's Eve all-nighters are totally normal for teenagers. Walked out into the freezing dark, but I was not going to C's house. Straight to the shop. Lights on but door locked. Slipped into the courtyard. Knocked on Zhouya's back door. "Who is it?" "It's your second uncle," I whispered, being a complete idiot on purpose. The door cracked open. Zhouya saw me and gave me a death glare for that dumb joke. Then pulled me inside and bolted the door behind us. Happy New Year indeed. Zhouya's room was warm and cozy. She'd set up the table with 2 place settings, homemade dishes, and an unopened bottle of liquor. Everything perfectly arranged. She'd been waiting for me. Every year before, I spent New Year's alone, she said quietly. Having you here. It's really nice. Something in my chest cracked open. I hugged her from behind while she was about to cook dumplings and told her that from now on, I'd be here every year. Then I said it, the thing that changed everything. When we have a kid, they'll keep you company too. A family of 3, she froze, turned around with red eyes. You'd really want a child with me? I told her I didn't just want a kid. I wanted to marry her. Properly. Publicly. And that's when she broke down. Tears rolling, she told me not to make promises like that. A widow marrying a younger man? The village gossip would destroy my family's reputation. She said she didn't need a title. She'd stay by my side no matter what, even if I married someone else. And if I ever got tired of her, she'd just take the baby and disappear without causing trouble. This woman was literally offering to sacrifice her entire dignity and future happiness just to protect me from village gossip. I held her tight and said 2 words, "Let's start," picked her up, carried her to the bed. The dumplings were still boiling on the stove. 2 hours later, the dumplings were soup. A thick, formless porridge of exploded wrappers and dissolved filling, bubbling sadly in the pot. "Look what you did." She was standing at the stove in just a thin shirt, legs bare, glaring at me. A perfectly good pot of dumplings, ruined. I was lying on the bed looking at her silhouette in the lamplight, grinning like an idiot. Worth it. She went to get frozen dumplings to cook a new batch. That's when I dangled the silver necklace. Too bad nobody wants my compensation gift. Guess I'll give this to someone else. She spun around so fast she almost fell. Saw the necklace, thin silver chain, sparkling crystal pendant, catching the light like a tiny star. Her eyes went wide. Dumplings forgotten. Again. Is that? For me? Obviously. I put it on her. The pendant sat right at her collarbone, rising and falling with her breath. She touched it like it was the most precious thing she'd ever owned. Because it was. Is it expensive? I kissed her. Nothing is expensive if you like it. That line hit her like a truck full of honey. She went completely soft, wrapped her arms around my neck, and whispered that she wanted more. The second batch of dumplings met the same fate as the first. Happy New Year, Zhouya. You're not alone anymore. Those dumplings never stood a chance. Third batch also didn't get eaten. By the time we were done, it was almost dawn, and Zhouya could barely stand. She dragged herself up, got dressed, touched the necklace on her chest one more time with this secret little smile, and opened the shop. Within minutes, some eagle-eyed village woman spotted the necklace and screamed like she'd found buried treasure. "What is that? Is that silver? Is that a gemstone?" Every woman in the shop swarmed Zhouya like moths to a flame. In 1988 rural northeast China, silver jewelry is basically royalty-level luxury. Nobody's ever seen anything like this sparkly pendant. Zhouya played it cool. "Oh, it's nothing. Just glass. Someone brought it from the south." While internally, she was floating on cloud 9. Her fingers kept touching that pendant like it was a direct connection to me. Meanwhile, I was at home face down on the bed, dead to the world. Mom had to physically shake me awake. "Get up. Go give your grandma New Year's greetings." I stumbled up, splashed water on my face, put on my new clothes, grabbed the gifts, and yelled for my sister. Wenwei came running out with those sparkly butterfly hair ribbons I gave her, looking like a tiny princess who'd won the lottery. New Year's morning in the village was pure chaos in the best way. Everyone walking around in their best clothes, bowing, saying, "Happy New Year," kids running everywhere with pockets stuffed with sunflower seeds. The air still smelled like last night's fireworks. At Grandma's house, we did the whole traditional thing. Kneel, kowtow, say the blessings, health, happiness, eat well, Grandma beamed. Then Uncle and Auntie got their bows too. Everyone pulled us up and told us the floor was cold. Then came the best part of being a kid on New Year's, red envelopes. Grandma had hers ready under the mattress. Uncle and aunties were thinner, but still counted. Wenhui immediately ran to cousin Wenfang and gave her the matching hair ribbons I'd sent. Wenfang went crazy with happiness. She'd been staring at Wenhui's all morning, dying of jealousy. Then I pulled out the gifts I'd brought, scarves for Grandma and Auntie. Not a bad morning for a guy running on 0 sleep and 3 pots of destroyed dumplings. Gave Grandma the dark red scarf. Gave Auntie the gray one with diamond patterns. These are just basic scarves from 2025, nothing special over there. But in 1988, they might as well have been woven from angel hair. The softness, the colors, the patterns, nothing in the local supply store comes within a mile of this quality. Grandma touched it and immediately tried to give it back like it was on fire. This is too precious for an old woman like me. Give it to your mother. Annie did the same dance. I'm just a farm wife. I'll ruin it. Save it for your future wife. I had to physically stop them from removing the scarves. Keep them. They're for you. When I get married, I'll buy new ones. Mom and Dad showed up and helped me convince them. It took a whole committee to get 2 women to accept gifts. This is rural Chinese politeness. You have to refuse at least 3 times, or people think you're greedy. Gave Uncle a belt from 2025. Nothing fancy by modern standards, but here it looked like something a government official would wear. His face lit up like sunrise. You got me something too? Yeah, Uncle. Can't leave anybody out. Then Dad said he needed to buy cigarettes at the shop and left immediately. Mom watched him go and shook her head, laughing. You know exactly what he's doing, right? I was confused for 1 second. Then it hit me. The watch. He didn't need cigarettes. He needed an audience. Mom confirmed. You gave him that watch, and now he won't rest until the entire village has seen it. Sure enough, Dad walked into the shop with his sleeve conveniently rolled up, watch gleaming on his wrist. He started doing laps around the card tables, scratching his head, touching his ears, rubbing his chin. Any excuse to wave that wrist around in people's faces. Nobody noticed. Devastating. He's doing his best casual flex, and everyone is staring at their cards. He couldn't just shove his arm in someone's face. That's amateur hour. That's what a peasant would do. No, Dad operates on a higher level. The flex must appear accidental. The discovery must feel organic. As my generation would say, stealth flexing hits hardest. So he moved to plan B, strolled to the counter, placed his hand down on it with the watch facing up, drummed his fingers twice for emphasis, and said, Joya, give me a pack of Harbin cigarettes. Hand. On. Counter. Watch. Facing. Up. Fingers. Drumming. This man is a master of the art. He doesn't need me to teach him pricing psychology. He invented his own entire school of psychological warfare, and he doesn't even know it. Like father, like son. The flex gene runs deep. So Dad went to the shop to buy cigarettes and executed his master plan. Rolled his sleeve up to his elbow, slapped his hand on the counter, and ordered a pack of Harbin smokes with the watch pointing straight at Joya's face. Joya took one look and immediately understood the assignment. Oh wow, new watch. So handsome, she played her part perfectly. Meanwhile, internally dying of embarrassment because last night she was with this man's son doing things that would make the ancestors spin in their graves. And now she's calling him Big Brother with a straight face. The woman deserves an Oscar. Dad hit her with the classic complaint brag. Oh, it's nothing. Just my son wasting money again. Buying his parents' watches. You know how kids are. While his mouth was fighting so hard not to smile that his entire face was vibrating. The mahjong ladies overheard and swarmed. Let me see. Is that a calendar on it? Lu Wei is so filial. Dad soaked in 30 minutes of pure concentrated admiration before finally floating home on a cloud of satisfied ego. Big sister and her husband showed up right after. Brought the traditional gifts, pastry boxes, and 2 bottles of white liquor. Standard son-in-law starter pack. I used to get jealous watching my parents treat Chen Jiansheng like royalty. Fed him the best food, gave him the warmest seat, laughed at his jokes. Felt like they loved him more than me. But now I get it. They're not being nice to him. They're protecting my sister. Every smile they give him, every plate of good food, every warm welcome is armor for Big Sis at her in-laws' house. If your daughter's parents-in-law see that her family treats the husband well, they think these are good, respectful people, and treat the daughter better. It's not about the son-in-law. It's about making sure your girl can hold her head high in someone else's home. Parenting is basically a long-term diplomatic strategy disguised as cooking and hospitality. Big sis spotted mom's watch immediately. Where did you get that? Mom did dad's same routine. Your wasteful brother just throws money around, while beaming like a lighthouse. I went to my room and came back with the watch for sis and a belt for Jiansheng. Yeah, I still feel weird about him marrying my sister. But she's happy, and that matters more than my jealousy. Can't be petty forever. Still working on it though. Sis opened the watch box, and her eyes went red. She couldn't even speak. Just sat there running her fingers over the glass, over and over. That hit me harder than anything. This woman who raised me half my childhood, who always put my needs before hers. She's holding a 20 yuan night market watch like it's the crown jewels. Jianxing tried to refuse, but Dad shut that down with a shoulder slap. Take it. We're family. The guy put on the belt looking like he'd just been knighted. Grandma was watching all of this from the heated bed, grinning from ear to ear. See? I always said this grandson would take care of all of us. And he piled on. 10 villages couldn't produce another kid like our Xiao Wei. And somewhere in this room full of warm people and cheap gifts and genuine love, I thought, this is why I hustle across 2 timelines. Not for the money. For this. For the look on my sister's face when she holds a 5 yuan watch like it's priceless. For Dad strutting around the village with his sleeve rolled up. For Grandma bragging about me to anyone who'll listen. This right here is worth more than every chicken, cucumber, and pine nut combined. Lunch was legendary. Every good thing we had went on that table. Braised pork knuckle, whole stewed chicken, red-cooked carp, mountains of fried meatballs, the works. Grandma got the seat of honor and started telling stories about the old days in Shandong. Back when I was little, if guests came and you wanted fish on the table but couldn't afford one, you'd carve a fish out of wood, pour sauce on it, and serve it like it was real. One wooden fish lasted 3 generations. Guests leave, fish stays. I said, Grandma, what if someone like our Wenhui showed up and just bit into it? Wenhui was sitting there with her cheeks stuffed like a chipmunk and mumbled through a mouthful of pork. I'm not greedy. I'm just testing the salt level. The whole table lost it. Uncle reminded me about the mudfish I'd asked him to collect before New Year's. I told him absolutely still on. I'll buy whatever he can get, cash on the spot. Mudfish are worthless here, but apparently a delicacy in the big cities. Another product to sell across the timeline. Problem was, Uncle's busy selling vegetables now. Before I could figure out who else to recruit, Grandma volunteered. I'll do it. I'm just sitting around feeding chickens all day anyway. I tried to refuse. She's old. It's freezing. There's math involved. She shut me down with one look. I'm not dead yet. A few fish won't kill me. Decided. Can't argue with Grandma. Nobody can. It's in the Constitution. After lunch, everyone left. I watched Dad stand at the gate staring at Big Sister walking away into the distance. He does this every time she visits. Doesn't say anything. Just watches until she's gone. The man who brags about everything and shows emotions about nothing, standing there silently missing his daughter. Dad, going to play cards. Huh? Oh, yes. And he was gone like a shot, terrified of missing a game. Emotional moment over. I went to sleep. Woke up at dark. Told Mom I was going out to play with friends and wouldn't be home tonight. She frowned. You've been staying out every night. Don't overstay your welcome at other people's houses. I know what I'm doing, Mom. Washed my face, made myself presentable, and headed straight to the shop. To Zhouya, obviously. But here's the problem I didn't know about until later. Shortly after I left, Errol Tsi and the boys showed up at my house looking for me. Hey, Auntie, is Lu Wei home? We want to hang out, Mom froze. He said he was going to find you guys. Us? We haven't seen him. We just came from home. Mom's face changed. Then she asked the real question. What about last night? Were you all together after midnight? Errol Tsi scratched his head. Last night, I went straight to bed after the fireworks. Wang Hai. Me too. Zhang Jianjun. Same. Mom's brain started connecting dots. Last night I said I was with the boys. I came home looking exhausted. Tonight I said the same thing. And the boys have no idea what I'm talking about. 2 nights in a row. Fake alibis. Mystery exhaustion. Disappearing after dark. Her mom radar just went from green to bright red. She doesn't know where I'm going. She doesn't know who I'm with. But she knows one thing for certain. Her son is lying. And mothers who catch their sons lying don't forget. They investigate. I am in so much trouble, and I don't even know it yet. Got to the shop. Dad was there playing mahjong, but not with Zhang Er's scam crew. He was at a different table with some village women, clicking tiles and having a great time. The hustlers were stuck at another table playing poker. Someone had separated them. That someone was Joya. She gave me the briefest look when I walked in, then said to a lady nearby, "Watch the counter for me. Gotta use the bathroom," and disappeared through the back curtain. I did my usual routine, chatted with some people, told Dad I was going out with friends. He waved me off without looking up from his tiles, and slipped out the door. Around the back. Through the gate. Door bolted behind me. Joya was waiting in candlelight. I grabbed her and kissed her before she could say a single word. MMPH. Can you at least let me finish a sentence before attacking me? You're like a starving wolf. Missed you too much. Did you miss me? She melted. Leaned against my chest listening to my heartbeat. Yes. But be gentle. Everything still hurts from yesterday. Noted. Adjusting grip. Then she told me something important. She'd noticed Zhang Er's crew trying to set up my dad for a card scam, and she blocked it. Rearranged the seating, pushed Dad to a different table, stuck the hustlers somewhere else. This woman is running counterintelligence operations from behind a candy counter. I didn't even have to ask. She just saw the threat and neutralized it. Then she started laughing and told me something not so great. Your dad, while playing mahjong, kept accidentally touching Wang Deshang's wife's hands. And SHE kept leaning in. Those two were making eyes at each other the whole time. My face went from relaxed to emergency alert in half a second. My dad. Mr. Family man. Mr. Look at my watch. Flirting with the neighbor's wife over a mahjong table? I told Joya to keep an eye on them. She said she would, but if they're serious, they'll find somewhere private, not the shop. Great. Now I have to worry about Dad's wandering hands on top of everything else. I need to get him out of this village and into actual work before he does something catastrophically stupid. Then Joya brought up the clothing store plan. She's worried about running into my parents in the county seat. I told her the county's big enough, and even if they bump into each other, nobody knows our relationship. She relaxed. She said she'd start selling the shop after the holiday and wants to look at storefronts after the 5th. You have to come with me. I can't do it alone. Obviously I'm coming. I'll handle the supply chain too. You just focus on running the place. She smiled and nestled into my arms. You're my man. I'll do whatever you say. Good. Then give me a fat baby boy. She kissed my cheek. Can we have two? Have as many as you want. Let's start right now. And that was the end of any conversation for the rest of the night. Meanwhile, back at my house, my mom was sitting in the dark, thinking. Because Erloftsy already blew my cover. She knows I wasn't with the boys last night. She knows I'm not with them tonight. She knows I'm lying. And I have absolutely no idea the walls are closing in. I'm over here making babies and business plans while Mom is assembling the case, file like a rural Chinese detective. This is going to end badly. I can feel it in my bones. But right now? Right now Joya is warm, and the candle is flickering, and I've decided that's tomorrow's problem. Joya pushed me out the door. Go find your friends and show your face before your alibi falls apart. She was right. If Erloftsy came looking for me, and I wasn't there, the whole cover story collapses. I stepped into the cold and made it about 30 seconds before running straight into the last person I wanted to see. Mom, with an empty basket, in the dark, walking toward me. Oh, son, Erloftsy and the boys just came by the house looking for you. Did you run into them? My heart dropped into my stomach. They went to my house. While I was supposedly with them. I recovered fast. No, I went to Erloftsy's place, but his mom said he already left. Must have just missed each other. Smooth. Crisis averted. Maybe. Then I did something that I'm not proud of, but was absolutely necessary for the survival of the Liu family bloodline. I sold out my father. Hey Mom, Dad's still at the shop playing mahjong. With a bunch of women. Maybe you should go. Swapping for him. Mom's smile dropped 3 degrees. Is he behaving himself? I mean, it's one guy and 3 women at a table. Looks a little. You know, her eyes went sub-0. She didn't ask another question. Just said, go play with your friends, and marched toward the shop like a guided missile locked onto target. Sorry, Dad, but your son needs you home and away from that Liang Yufeng woman and her conveniently touchable hands. Besides, Joya told me everything. Your accidental hand brushing during mahjong, the flirty eye contact, the whole performance. You're playing with fire, old man, and Mom is the fire department. I watched Mom disappear into the darkness and felt a chill that had nothing to do with the weather. She's onto something. Maybe not Joya yet, but she knows I'm lying about where I sleep. Now she's got dad drama on top of it. This woman is collecting problems like ammunition. Meanwhile at the shop, dad was having the time of his life. 1-3 Jiao accidentally touched Liang Yufeng's hand during tile stacking for the 15th time, feeling like the smoothest operator in the village. Whoosh. Door curtain flies open. Cold air rushes in. And there stands Lu Guifeng with a face that could freeze lava. Dad's smile didn't just disappear, it shattered. Wife? What are you doing here? Mom scanned the table. Eyes paused on Liang Yufeng, who was dressed suspiciously nice for a casual mahjong night, then turned back to Dad with a smile that contained zero warmth and maximum threat. Company came by the house. Come home. Unless you're not done, I can play your hand for you. Dad couldn't evacuate that chair fast enough. Done. Totally done. Was just leaving. Here, take my seat. You play, I'll go check on things. He practically teleported out of the shop. Mom sat down, picked up his tiles, smiled at the table like nothing happened, and said, "Let's continue." The three women at the table exchanged glances and said nothing. Smart. Dad stumbled out into the cold, brain finally catching up to reality, and muttered to himself, "Someone snitched on me." "Yeah, Dad. Someone did. Your son, the same son who's sneaking around with the village widow every night. We're both playing dangerous games. Difference is, mine involves building a business empire across 2 timelines. Yours involves touching a married woman's hand over mahjong tiles. Get it together, old man. I can't keep saving you and myself." Found the boys at Wang Hai's house. Erlofzi immediately called me out. "Where have you been?" We looked everywhere. I fed him the same line about just missing each other at his house. He bought it. But then he pulled me outside. With a serious face, which is unusual for a guy whose default expression is class clown. He checked both directions, leaned in, and dropped a bomb. Su Debao, Jiang Dalong, and Wang Chongqing are planning to jump you. Beat you up somewhere quiet when you're alone. Watch your back. So the 3 village stooges are actually going through with it. Wang Chongqing's little brother leaked it to Erlofzi's little brother. Classic small village intelligence network. Everyone's siblings are snitching on everyone. Erlofzi offered to rally the boys for backup. I told him no. Those 3 idiots are genuine troublemakers who fight dirty, and I'm not dragging my friends into a beating. That's my problem. Quick history on me and Debao. He's been bullying me since we were kids. Bigger, older, meaner. But one time I snapped, fought back hard, and nearly ripped his ear clean off. He needed 2 stitches. After that he stopped messing with me directly, but the hatred went from simmering to boiling. Now he's got backup and motivation, jealousy over my family's sudden wealth. I told Erlofzi to have his brother keep listening. Find out when they're planning to move. I'll handle the rest myself. He looked worried. I told him I'd be fine. Went back inside and acted completely normal. Cracking jokes, eating seeds, not a care in the world. But my brain was running cold calculations in the background. Let me take inventory of my problems real quick. Card hustlers trying to scam Dad. 3 thugs planning to ambush me. Dad flirting with a married woman. Mom discovering my fake alibis. A secret girlfriend. A possible daughter in 2025. And roughly 15 businesses to launch. Meanwhile, those 3 geniuses were in Jiang Dalong's shack having the dumbest criminal planning session in history. Upgraded from their usual pickled cabbage to fried peanuts and scrambled eggs because it's New Year's. Living large. Dalong was taunting Debao. "You've been talking big about messing up Lu Wei for days. Year's almost over and you haven't done anything. You chicken out?" Wang Chongqing chimed in with the financial pitch. Their family is loaded now. Half a pig. Color TV. We just need to borrow 80 or $100 from him. That's weeks of drinking money. Debao hesitated. "Is this illegal?" Dalong slammed his cup down. "Illegal? Over a few bucks? We wear masks. It's dark. He won't know who did it. Beat him up, take the cash, hide in the mountains. Who's gonna know?" These 3 think covering their faces makes them invisible to the law. They think a few dozen yuan doesn't count as robbery. They think hiding in the mountains is an escape plan. This is what happens when you drop out of school before they teach you what the criminal code is. Ignorance of the law isn't a defense, boys. It's just a shortcut to prison. But honestly, let them come. I've been thinking about how to establish authority in this village, and 3 idiots volunteering to be an example is almost too convenient. I've already got a plan forming. And unlike their genius, wear masks and hide in the hills, strategy, mine actually works. Come find me, boys. I'll be ready. Hung out with the boys for a while longer, then slipped away and teleported to 2025. 10 p.m. over here, zero sleepiness in my body. So I did what any responsible time-traveling entrepreneur would do. Fell into a research rabbit hole on my phone. Started with 1980s Township Enterprises, then Price dual-track system, then first generation of Chinese businessmen, then Soviet Union trading, then 1990s stock subscription certificates. Apparently, people who bought those early became millionaires overnight. The opportunities in front of me are so massive I could barely breathe. Every decade from now until 2025 has at least 3 or 4 paths to obscene wealth. Stock markets, real estate, internet, e-commerce. It's like reading a cheat sheet for the next 40 years of human civilization. Got so excited I didn't notice time passing until the sky started turning gray. 4 a.m. Not even slightly tired. Brain running at full speed on pure adrenaline and information overload. Screw sleeping. Went to the wholesale market. Ordered 2,000 pounds of cucumbers from Boss Yang. Then walked toward the garbage vegetable section, my old hunting ground. 7 or 8 old people were already there with flashlights and woven bags, picking through piles of discarded produce like experienced treasure hunters. These seniors are the professionals of the free vegetable game. And that's when my brain shifted gears. Old me would have jumped in and competed with them, fighting over wilted cabbages at 4 a.m. New me looked at this scene and thought, why am I competing when I could be buying? These old folks collect hundreds of pounds every morning. What if I just purchase their haul, pay them a small amount, still weigh more than what they'd normally get for garbage vegetables, and suddenly I have a massive, reliable supply chain with zero physical labor on my end. Then I could stop doing retail entirely. Go full wholesale. Bring bulk cheap vegetables to 1988 and distribute through my family network. My heart was racing. This is how you level up. Stop trading time for money. Start trading money for time. Spotted a familiar face, an old man struggling to load a giant bag of eggplants onto his tricycle. Walked over casually. Hey, Grandpa, that's a lot of vegetables. Can your family eat all that? He looked up and I recognized him instantly. It was the same old man who interrogated me weeks ago about why I was picking up so many vegetables. What are you doing with all that? He demanded, like I was committing a crime against seniors. And here he is, doing the exact same thing. Mister, why are you taking so many vegetables? Is apparently a veteran of the garbage vegetable circuit. This man questioned my morals while running the same hustle. He recognized me too. After all, I'm the guy who showed up and picked so aggressively that I forced him to relocate to a different section of the market. He's been holding that grudge. Oh, it's you. What do you want? The beginning of a beautiful business relationship, I'm sure. Cut straight to the point with the old man. I'm not here to steal your vegetables. I want to buy them. He looked at me like I'd grown a second head. Buy? Just go pick them up yourself. There's piles right over there. I need way more than I can carry alone. So here's the deal. I buy from you and your buddies. You make money without any extra work. I get volume without breaking my back. Win-win. His eyes lit up for exactly 1 second before his negotiation instincts kicked in. How much per pound? What kind of vegetables? Everything except cheap stuff like potatoes and cabbage. 1 cent per pound. As long as it's not rotten. Started low on purpose. Left room to negotiate. Even if I paid 5 times that, I'd still profit because the currency value between 1988 and 2025 is completely different. Money here is basically plain money compared to what it buys over there. The old man's head shook so fast it nearly came off. 1 cent? I wake up before dawn and bust my back for that. 2 cents minimum. He held up 2 fingers like he was making a final stand. I did what every good businessman does, made him feel like he was winning. Did the math out loud for him. You picked 40 pounds in 15 minutes. At 1 cent, that's 4 yuan already. Do that all morning, you'll have 200 to 300 pounds. That's 20 to 30 yuan. Come back in the evening for another round, 50, 60 yuan a day. No heavy lifting, no boss yelling at you. Doesn't interfere with grandpa duties. He coughed nervously because I'd basically described his entire daily schedule with surgical precision. Then he switched tactics. Got all buddy-buddy. How about 1.5 cents? And I'll recruit all my old-timer friends to sell to you. Guaranteed volume every single day. I pretended to think really hard about it, furrowed my brow, stared at the ground, counted to 5 in my head. Fine, 1.5. But nothing rotten. I inspect everything. One bad batch and we're done. He was beaming, slapped his bony chest. You can trust me. At my age, cheating people would keep me up at night. Sure, Grandpa. I've met plenty of old folks whose sleep is just fine after a good scam. But okay, we'll go with trustworthy elder for now. Then I asked if he knew of any small warehouses for rent nearby. His face transformed. You asked the right person. Led me through a back alley for about 10 minutes to a big compound full of small storage units. Trucks coming and going, forklifts buzzing around. Good road access outside. He pulled out a key. Wait, this old man has a unit here? Rolled up a green metal shutter door, flipped on the fluorescent lights, and said, "How about this? Think it'll work?" Went from suspicious vegetable grandpa to my real estate agent in about 20 minutes. This is the beauty of doing business in China. Every stranger is 3 conversations away from becoming your landlord. The warehouse was basic, cement floor, white walls, a tiny back room with a bed and a stove. Perfect for my needs. How much? $3,000 a month. 2 months deposit plus 3 months rent up front. Quick math. That's $15,000 to walk in the door. My entire net worth is about 11 grand. Not happening. We haggled. He said 2,800. I said 2,300. He said 2,600, or he's closing the door. I pulled out my best. This is physically painful for me. Face encountered with 2,500, but restructured the deal. 1 month deposit instead of 2. 3 months up front. 10,000 total, cash today. The magic word was today. Old people love instant cash the way kids love candy. He thought about it for maybe 4 seconds and slapped his knee. Deal, signed the papers. Transferred the money. Got the keys. And just like that, I went from almost 12,000 in the bank to less than 1,000. My wallet lost 10 pounds in one transaction. And no time to cry about it. Swept the warehouse, wiped down the bed, rode back to the market. Bought an electronic scale for 150 yuan, plastic crates, tarps, and mesh bags. Set up shop. Called Grandpa Tan and told him to spread the word. I'm buying 1.5 cents per pound, starting now. Within an hour, my warehouse in Trance looked like a senior citizen convention. 7 or 8 old folks showed up with tricycles and carts loaded with their morning haul. Dented tomatoes, broken peppers, ugly cucumbers, wrinkly carrots, wilted spinach, cracked radishes, sad-looking apples, soft pears, the island of misfit vegetables. Weigh mine first. These eggplants are premium. My spinach just looks tired. It's perfectly fine inside. Out of my way, my grandson is waiting at home. I was weighing, inspecting, recording, and paying out cash like a one-man grocery processing plant. Numbers flying. 48.3 pounds. 21.5. 15 pounds. Little notebook filling up. Cash bag getting lighter and lighter. Collected over 1,000 pounds by mid-morning. Spent over 100 on vegetables alone. Then hired 3 of the old folks to sort, clean, and organize everything. Another 150 yuan gone. Final accounting of my finances. Warehouse rent and deposit, 10,000. Scale and supplies, 200. Vegetables, almost 200. Workers, 150. Every single yuan from the chicken sale, gone. I had a few dozen bucks left to my name. And I still owed Boss Yang 600 for today's 2,000 pounds of cucumbers that I haven't even picked up yet. I went from comfortable to practically broke in one morning. This is what building a business feels like. You pour everything in and pray the returns come before the money runs out completely. Called Lu Yi. Because when you're broke and need to make things happen fast, you call the one guy who always has an answer. Called Lu Yi about selling dried vegetables and wild mudfish. He was half asleep, but listened. I told him my village has rivers full of wild mudfish and every household has piles of homemade dried vegetables. Potato strips, bean strings, eggplant slices, the real deal. Lu Ye's response was honest. 200 pounds of each? Brother, that's awkward. Too small for any serious buyer to care about. Not worth me using my connections over pocket change. Fair point. But then he said he'd ask around anyway. Just make sure the quality is real. Wild-caught fish, farm-dried vegetables, no fakes. If the product is garbage, it's my reputation on the line. Everything is genuine, I promise. I'll personally inspect every piece. He hung up, and I got back to business. The old folks finished sorting my vegetables, over 1,000 pounds organized into neat bags. Paid everyone, said my thanks, locked up the warehouse. Then teleported back to 1988. Middle of the night. Freezing. Ran to the shop with my ears covered. Found Mom sitting in Dad's old seat at the mahjong table. She'd literally replaced him. Looked up when I walked in. Weren't you playing with Erlfc? Why are you back? I told her I was just stopping by to say I'd bike to town separately tomorrow instead of riding with the family. Quick and casual. Nothing suspicious. In and out. Be careful on the road. It's icy. No problem. I'm heading out. Okay. She didn't even look up from her tiles. I turned around and walked out. Everything seemed fine. Normal conversation. Normal Mom. Except it wasn't normal. Because the second I was out the door, Mom's face changed completely. She turned to Zhoya with an urgency that could crack glass. Xiaoya, play my hand for me. I need to step out, and she followed me. Out the door. Into the dark. Like a detective tailing a suspect. Zhoya saw this happen, and her blood turned to ice. She knew exactly what Mom was doing. And she knew exactly where I might be heading. She didn't even think. Just blurted, stomach ache, bathroom, be right back, to the nearest person and sprinted to the back of the shop. Through the courtyard. To the back gate. The one I always used to sneak in. She fumbled with the key, hands shaking, jammed it in the lock, turned it, slid the bolt shut, click. And immediately after, the sound of someone trying to push the gate open from the other side. Mom was right there, seconds behind me, testing the very door I use every single night to sneak in and see Zhoya. If Zhoya had been 10 seconds slower, Mom would have walked into the backyard, found evidence, connected the dots, and my entire secret relationship would have exploded on New Year's night. 10 seconds. That's how close we came to total disaster. My heart wasn't even present for this moment. I was already walking down the road thinking everything was fine. Meanwhile, Zhoya was pressed against a locked door in the freezing dark, heart pounding so hard she could hear it in her skull, with my mother's hand on the other side of that gate. Mom is hunting me, and I don't even know it. I was standing at Zhoya's back gate ready for another romantic evening when, locked. That's weird. She never locks this. Then I heard her scream from inside. Who's there? In the middle of the night. What the? Why is she yelling like someone's murdering her? The whole village can hear this. She cracked the door open looking pale as a ghost and said, loud enough for people 3 streets over. Oh, it's Xiao Wei. You're here to borrow the bicycle, right? Let me go get IT for you. Bicycle? What bicycle? I didn't say anything about it. She squeezed her eyes at me so hard I thought her face would collapse. Pure concentrated panic in that look. I had no idea what was happening, but I know when to shut up and play along. Yes. The bicycle. Very urgent. Need it tonight. She kept performing this whole loud auntie-nephew routine about road safety while pushing the bike out. Then at the handoff, she leaned in and breathed 2 words so quiet only a bat could hear them. Your mom. My first thought. Did this woman just swear at me? My second thought, half a second later. No? She means my actual mother. Is here. Right now. Watching. I shot up my spine like a lightning bolt. I grabbed that bike and fled. While walking away, I casually glanced toward the old telephone pole nearby and saw a dark shape standing motionless in the shadows. Wrapped up tight. Perfectly still. Watching everything. MOM. Playing detective at midnight in -40 degrees. This woman is terrifying. It all clicked instantly. Erlfc went to my house. Mom asked if I was with them last night. Erlfc said no. Cover blown. Then tonight, I said I was going out again. Mom followed me like a secret agent. If Zhoya hadn't locked that gate and put on the performance of her life, Mom would have found me sneaking into a widow's backyard at midnight on New Year's. My relationship, my dignity, and possibly my spine would all be shattered. Zhoya saved us both. That woman deserves a medal. And an Oscar. And a raise. Tonight's plans? Cancelled. Romance? Dead. I'm going to the town instead, in -40-degree weather, on a bicycle. Because that's safer than going home and facing interrogation. Got home to grab warm clothes, and Dad jumped at me like a startled cat. Did you snitch on me to your mother? Oh right. The mahjong hand-touching incident. He'd been stewing about it all evening. Figured out I was the informant, and was furious. I played dumb. What are you talking about? I have no idea what you mean. Meanwhile thinking, yes it was me, and I'd do it again, you flirty old goat. Told him I was heading to town to prep vegetables for tomorrow. He wanted to come, but I shut that down. Can't teleport to 2025 with my dad riding shotgun. Layered on every piece of clothing I owned, stuffed corn husks in my shoes for insulation, wrapped myself up like a human burrito, and rolled out into the frozen night. Current status: nearly caught by mom, accused by dad, romantic evening destroyed, riding a bicycle through Arctic temperatures at midnight, almost broke in 2025, being hunted by 3 village thugs, and my secret girlfriend just had to improv an entire theatrical production to save our relationship. Other than that, everything's going great. After I left, mom went back to the mahjong table but couldn't focus. Lost 2 hands, claimed a headache, and rushed home. She's still trying to figure out where I go at night. She checked, I was gone. Dad was squatting by the fire looking miserable, still convinced I ratted him out about the hand-touching incident. Mom asked if I left. Dad sighed. Tried to go with him. Kid wouldn't let me. Mom snapped at him. He says no, and you just listen? What kind of father are you? She was taking out her frustration on him, which is pretty standard operating procedure in our household. But here's the thing. Mom's detective brain was still running. She'd followed me to Joya's back gate. Joya's performance was flawless. So maybe it isn't Joya? But then who? A girl from another village? Someone in town? The mystery was eating her alive. Then she switched gears to something completely unexpected, pulled Dad aside, handed him 1,000 yuan, and told him to go buy Old Man Zhang's wild ginseng root. Dad was confused. Buy that? What for? And 1,000 yuan, Mom laid it out cold. That color TV didn't fall from the sky. This vegetable business didn't appear by magic. Our son has a friend helping us. We can't just take and take without giving back. We're country people. The only thing we have worth giving is a wild mountain ginseng. So go buy it. I've been telling them a fictional friend gave us the TV deal and the vegetable supply. Mom is now spending real money to thank an imaginary person. She's buying a gift for someone who doesn't exist. The guilt hit me from 2025. Across space and time. This woman saved up money, figured out the most valuable gift a rural family could give, and is sending Dad out in the freezing cold to buy it. All because she doesn't want her son's friend to think we're ungrateful freeloaders. Mom's moral compass could guide ships through storms. Meanwhile, I was out on the road dying, pushing the bicycle through frozen snow, face getting sliced by wind, nearly wiped out on a tiny hill. 1 mile in, and I was already questioning every life choice that led me here. Forget this. Teleported to 2025. Warmth. Beautiful, glorious warmth. My fingers thawed, my face returned to normal temperature, and my brain started functioning again. New plan. Sell this bicycle at the secondhand market, then look for an electric tricycle. Something with a motor and hopefully a roof. Because pedaling 10 miles and -40 on a steel frame of misery is not sustainable. Rode to the flea market. Found the old bicycle guy from yesterday. Hey Grandpa, remember me? Brought the bike like I promised. He looked at the bicycle. Looked at me. Made a face like I'd handed him a dead fish. This isn't an original vintage model. It's a later reproduction. 30 yuan. Take it or leave it. 30? Yesterday he was quoting 300 to 700 for old bikes. Joya's bicycle isn't old enough to be valuable. It's from the late 80s, which makes it a regular used bike, not a collector's item. The ones worth money are from the 60s and 70s. 30 yuan. For a bike I essentially borrowed from my girlfriend without asking. The universe is teaching me a lesson about assuming everything from 1988 is automatically treasure. Some things are just old bikes. That old bike seller looked at Joya's perfectly authentic 1976 Phoenix bicycle, which I personally wheeled out of 1988 with my own 2 hands, and told me it was fake. Fake. I literally rode this thing across the space-time continuum, and this guy is telling me it's a reproduction. I was pointing at the steel stamps, the original paint, the handlebars. Look, it's real. And he just waved me off like I was a fly. 30 bucks. Take it or leave it. You're blocking my customers. I was about half a second from telling him exactly where he could park his 30 bucks when I heard a familiar voice behind me. Xiao Wei? Turned around, and there was Grandma Wu and Lon Weiwei, just casually strolling through the flea market together. Weiwei in a white coat and red scarf looking like she stepped out of a magazine, and Grandma Wu bundled up enjoying the autumn sunshine. They'd come to browse and happened to spot me arguing with a con artist. Grandma Wu took one look at the situation, smiled knowingly, and said, "Come walk with me." Once we were away from the stall, she gave me a master class in how the second-hand and antique business actually works. That man's entire job is buying low and selling high. The phrase in this business is 3 years without a sale. One sale feeds you 3 years. When they buy from you, they'll call your treasure garbage. When they sell to you, they'll call their garbage treasure. Same item, two completely different stories depending on which side of the counter you're on. She explained that my bike is real, but that doesn't matter. This world runs on connections, stories, and finding the right buyer. You could have a genuine Ming Dynasty vase, and if you're not in the right circle with the right story and the right reputation, you'll get offered pocket change. Don't believe those TV shows about people finding treasures at flea markets and getting rich. In reality, 9 out of 10 stalls are traps, and the 10th one is a more elaborate trap. Regular people can't make money here. Stay away. She also mentioned money laundering and bribery flowing through the antique world, which was a whole layer of darkness I hadn't even considered. "How do you know all this, Grandma?" Her face got a little distant. "My old man. Before he retired, he loved coming to these markets. Collected junk. Got scammed more than once. Came home and complained about every trick in the book. I listened enough times that it all stuck. Lesson learned. The flea market dream is dead. I've got plenty of legitimate ways to make money without getting hustled by old men who've turned lying into a professional sport." Wei Wei asked what I was doing out so early. I told her about renting the warehouse and wanting to sell the bike to buy an electric tricycle. She looked genuinely impressed that I'd gone from zero to renting commercial property in a matter of days. Grandma Wu was impressed too. This kid showed up at her door with literally nothing, and now he's building a supply chain. What they don't know is that my supply chain crosses 37 years of history. But sure, let's call it hustle and determination. Now I just need to figure out how to get wheels that actually have a motor, because pedaling through 1988 winters is going to kill me faster than Sue DeBeo ever could. Told Wei Wei and Grandma Wu I was collecting cheap, ugly vegetables and reselling them to small restaurants and construction site cafeterias. Which is technically true, just leaving out the part where the restaurants are in 1988. Wei Wei asked why I was at the flea market. I explained the whole sad story, rented a warehouse, spent everything, tried to sell the bike for electric tricycle money, got offered $30 by a professional liar. The second Wei Wei heard the word broke, she went full big sister mode. "Why didn't you tell me? I'll lend you money." Grandma Wu gave her this look, the kind of knowing smile that says, "This girl likes this boy." And Wei Wei's face went red. She scrambled to add, "My money is just sitting there anyway. We're practically family. It's fine." I tried to refuse. She almost got mad. "What's wrong with MY money? You're being a chauvinist." Then she physically grabbed my arm and dragged me toward a shop selling electric tricycles. I protested the whole way, but between her stubbornness and Grandma Wu backing her up, I had zero chance. We found the one. Enclosed cabin with a roof, big cargo bed in the back, can haul 1,000 pounds, fast charging, decent range, and it has a heater. Everything I needed. Only problem, 7,000 yuan. Too expensive. Let's get the open one for 6,000. Wei Wei shut me down. 1,000 extra for a roof and air conditioning? That's a bargain. We're getting this one. Sir, ring it up and charge the battery. My possible daughter just bought me a vehicle. I went from arguing with a scam artist over $30 to owning a brand new electric tricycle in the span of 1 hour. The emotional whiplash could hospitalize a person. Grandma Wu bought groceries to celebrate and announced she was cooking a new car party lunch. Dropped them off at home, picked up the fully charged tricycle, drove it to my warehouse, locked the door, and teleported the entire thing to 1988. Driving through frozen 1988 countryside at night in an electric tricycle from 2025 was absolutely surreal. Headlights cutting through pitch darkness, heater blasting warm air, smooth and quiet, like piloting a spaceship through a medieval wasteland. Anyone who spotted me would have seen a mysterious, glowing vehicle fly past and disappear before their brain could process what happened. This thing can never be examined up close by 1988 people, though. The manufacturing date alone would cause a village-wide existential crisis, and the technology inside would confuse scientists, let alone farmers. Started thinking about buying a vehicle that actually belongs in this era. A diesel three-wheeler. The kind that sounds like a dying tractor, vibrates so hard your teeth rattle, and shakes your entire skeleton like a paint mixer. Not glamorous, but it would solve the transportation problem without raising questions. Cheapest ones are 6 or 7,000 yuan. The good ones cost over 10,000. My uncle-in-law's work has one, a 10-horsepower, golden baby, and you can't even buy them locally. Gotta go all the way to the provincial capital. But then my brain went somewhere else entirely. Imagine driving a three-wheeler with Zhou sitting in my lap, the whole vehicle vibrating like crazy. Nearly crashed the electric tricycle laughing at my own thoughts. Focus, Lu Wei. Focus. Half-hour drive to my house in town. Parked the electric tricycle, sent it back to 2025, and started hauling vegetables from the future. Took dozens of trips back and forth, grabbing bag after bag. Several £1,000s total. Then something scary happened. After maybe 40 or 50 crossings in quick succession, I got dizzy. Like motion sickness, but worse. Nauseous. Head spinning. Wanted to throw up. Never happened before. Too many jumps in too short a time. That's concerning. My time travel ability came with zero instruction manual. No magic ring. No glowing pendant. No wise old mentor explaining the rules. Just a random splinter in my palm one day, and now I hop between centuries. The splinter burned up, the wound healed, and I still don't know how any of this works. Decided to stop worrying about it. If it kills me, at least I'll die confused. Went back to 2025 for lunch with Grandma Wu and Wei Wei. Insisted on washing dishes afterward. Grandma Wu whispered to Wei Wei loud enough for me to hear. Isn't my grandson great? Hard-working, smart, responsible. Boys like him are rare these days. Wei Wei's face went pink. She came to help me wash dishes, and we stood there side by side at the sink like a married couple. Grandma Wu watched from across the room with the biggest matchmaker grin in human history. I kept telling Wei Wei to stop. Don't get your hands wet. I've got this. Because she's my daughter, and I want to take care of her, not the other way around. She interpreted my protectiveness as romantic sweetness and smiled even harder. We are having two completely different emotional experiences right now. Lu Yi called. He found buyers for my dried vegetables and mudfish. Just bring the goods, and he'll introduce me. Huge relief. Having product is one thing. Having someone who'll actually buy it is everything. Wei Wei overheard and immediately declared a celebration dinner. I suggested cooking at home instead of going out. She agreed. We planned the meal together like it was the most natural thing in the world. Napped until 5, went to the warehouse, collected the evening vegetable haul from the old folks, sorted and packed everything, shipped it all to 1988. By the time I finished it was past 7. Wei Wei called asking when I'd be home for dinner. Told her 8 or 9. Next morning, family loaded up the horse cart for another day of selling. Uncle noticed Dad kept wincing and shifting around on the seat. What's wrong with your butt? Sitting on a nail? Dad quickly said he slipped on ice. But I saw him sneak a glance at Mom with the most pitiful puppy eyes. Checked his inner thigh this morning apparently. Purple bruises everywhere. Mom. Pinched. Him. Into. Submission. Last night. That's her version of conflict resolution. She glanced back at Dad with an icy expression that said, try me again, and let out a cold little HMPH. Then her eyes shifted to me. I could practically read her thoughts. The big one is chasing skirts over mahjong. The little one disappears every night. Neither of these males is behaving. When I find out what the small one is doing, I'm going to make his father's bruises look like a massage. And behind our cart, the three stooges, De Bao, Dalong, and Chongqing, riding in another horse cart, watching us with scheming eyes, planning their big score. So to summarize the current situation, Mom is hunting me. Dad is nursing bruises from Mom's interrogation techniques. 3 idiots are stalking me. I owe money everywhere. And I'm running a cross-timeline vegetable empire on 4 hours of sleep. Just another beautiful day in the Liu family. Everyone showed up at my townhouse at the crack of dawn. Aunties, uncles, cousins, in-laws, the whole Liu family army reporting for vegetable duty. First thing that happened? I got scolded. Both aunts took one look at me alone in the house and went off. You walked here by yourself? At night? In the dark? In winter? Third aunt's voice hit a pitch that could shatter windows. What if something happened? Your parents let you do this. Then Mom and Dad arrived, and the aunties turned their firepower on them. What kind of parents let their child walk alone at night? Dad stood there smiling like a man who's learned that silence is survival. Mom just nodded and took it because, honestly, she deserved this one. I rescued them by changing the subject to business. Works every time. I need everyone to collect dried vegetables and wild mudfish from the villages. Potato strips, bean strings, eggplant slices, live mudfish, everything. 50 cents per pound, plus 10 cents per pound as your commission for collecting. The room went quiet. Then everyone started talking at once. Dried vegetables? City people actually eat that? I told them yes. City folks go crazy for authentic rural food. But, and I made this very clear, quality has to be perfect. No mold, no rot, no cheating. Mudfish must be alive. Dried vegetables must be clean and properly dried. Bad product gets rejected, and if someone tries to slip garbage past me, we're done. Uncle-in-law pounded his chest. We're family. Would I cheat you, sir? Everyone who's ever been cheated has heard those exact words first. But I appreciate the enthusiasm. The math was clicking in everyone's heads. 50 cents a pound for stuff that's literally sitting in every household pantry, plus a dime commission for just going door to door. That's basically free money. Third, Aunt was first to volunteer. I'll start today. My cousin's wife got competitive. Our village is right by the river. Tons of mudfish. I'm going home right now. People started opting out of vegetable selling entirely just to go collect dried goods instead. You guys handle the stall. I'm going home to buy dried beans from the neighbors. Within 5 minutes, my little announcement turned into a full-scale mobilization. Half the family pivoted from retail vegetable sales to rural procurement operations without me even asking. Supply chain in 1988, activated. Sales channel in 2025, Lu Ye's working on it. The dried vegetable pipeline connecting 2 centuries is officially under construction. All I need now is for Lu Ye's buyer to say yes, and this whole thing takes off. Chickens, cucumbers, watches, pine nuts, dried vegetables, mudfish. I'm basically building a cross-temporal Walmart one product at a time. And somewhere behind us on the road, 3 idiots in a horse cart are still plotting to rob me for snack money. They have no idea what kind of empire they're messing with. Loading up the carts this morning, and everyone noticed today's haul had some new items mixed in. Oranges, eggplants, and then Big Sister grabbed something and yelped. What I asked this thing? It stabbed me. I looked over and laughed. That's a pineapple, sis. The entire family gathered around this spiky yellow grenade like it was an alien artifact. Nobody had ever seen one. Uncle-in-law claimed he'd heard about pineapples on the radio once. They grow in the tropics, very expensive, but actually laying eyes on one was a whole different experience. I announced we should open one up and try it. Third, Aunt nearly tackled me. Are you insane? That's got to be worth a fortune. Don't waste it. Sell it. I told her we needed to taste it first. How can you sell something you can't even describe to customers? My cousin Li Hung immediately backed me up with suspicious enthusiasm. Yes? We must understand the product. This is called market research. His mom saw right through him. You're just greedy. Admit it. Cut it open, and the smell hit the room like a tropical bomb. Sweet, tangy, completely alien to a house that usually smells like frozen cabbage and would smoke. Everyone's noses went up simultaneously like a pack of dogs catching a scent. Li Hing grabbed the first piece and shoved it in his face. Good. Sweet. Little bit sour. Amazing. Brother-in-law took a thoughtful bite. Very refreshing. Must be nice living down south where this just grows on trees. Then third uncle said the thing that made me realize nobody actually knew how to eat a pineapple. Flavor's great, but the skin is a bit tough, isn't it? Hard to chew. Uncle-in-law agreed. Yeah, it scratches the throat going down. The yellow part inside is excellent though. They were eating the skin. These grown adults were chewing through pineapple rind and just accepting it as part of the experience. Not complaining, not spitting it out, just powering through like, well, southern fruit must be like this. And I, the guy who's supposed to know everything because I've been to the future, also didn't know you're supposed to cut the skin off completely. I took a bite near the edge, got a mouthful of armor plating, and swallowed it anyway because everyone else was doing the same thing and I didn't want to look stupid. An entire room full of people ate pineapple like it was a very crunchy apple, with the shell on, and nobody questioned it. This is what happens when tropical fruit meets people who've never seen anything south of the frozen river. Dad asked the important question, how much are we selling these for? 5 yuan each. Cousin's wife nearly fainted. 5 yuan? That's 3 pounds of pork. Uncle-in-law understood, though. Rich people don't care about 5 yuan. They care about having something nobody else has. This won't sell in our little town, but in the county or the city, people will pay just to say they tried it. Everyone agreed. Pineapples are a county-level product. Too fancy for our market. Dad clapped his hands. Enough talking. Load the carts. If we don't move now, all the good spots will be taken. Everyone snapped out of their pineapple trance and got to work. Carts loaded, horses hitched, and the Liu family vegetable empire rolled out into the frozen morning. Then Dad called me over. Son, come here. Whatever comes next, it's either very good or very bad. With Dad, there's no in-between. Mom pulled me behind a wall while everyone was loading carts, looking around like she was about to hand off state secrets. She reached into her coat and pulled out a small wooden box wrapped in red velvet cloth. Old, worn smooth at the corners, clearly something precious. Take this. Keep it safe. I opened it. Inside, on faded red silk, lay a dried wild mountain ginseng root. Thick, gnarly, covered in densely packed growth rings on top, each one representing a year of slow growth deep in the old-growth forest. Your father bought it from old Zhang last night. 500 yuan, 500. I could see the physical pain on her face saying that number. This woman who pinches pennies until they scream just dropped $500 on a root. But here's the thing. I was already planning to buy ginseng for Lu Yi as a thank you gift. Mom beat me to it. She figured out on her own that we owe our connection a debt of gratitude, identified the one gift a rural family can offer that actually carries weight, and acted before I even mentioned it. This woman, who never finished elementary school, has better business instincts than half the entrepreneurs I've read about on my phone. Old Zhang is a legendary mountain man in our area, been hunting and foraging in the deep forest for decades. If he says it's 30-year wild ginseng, it's 30-year wild ginseng. Plus, you don't scam your own neighbors. Not in a village this small. I tucked the box into my inner pocket, against my chest. Then Mom reached into her other pocket and pulled out a handkerchief, unfolded it. Inside was a fat stack of 10-yuan bills, neatly arranged. My jaw dropped. This is the woman who confiscated my New Year's money since birth. The woman who counts rice grains. The woman who makes Dad beg for 10 yuan of card money. And she's handing me what looked like 1,000 yuan? I must have stared at her like she'd grown wings because she pinched my arm. What's that look? You think your mother is some kind of miser? This money was never for me. When have I ever spent money on myself? Everything I've ever saved went to this family. Then she laid it out. We've got new products coming in. Oranges, pineapples, dried vegetables, mudfish. All of that needs capital. And more importantly, we need to stop owing people. Pay Boss Yang. Pay suppliers. Clear all debts. Money you owe sits on your chest like a rock. You can't stand tall when you're carrying someone else's debt. Take this. Pay what needs paying. Buy what needs buying. I stood there holding 1,000 yuan in one hand and a 500 yuan ginseng root over my heart, and my throat tightened up in a way that had nothing to do with the cold. She's right. Every single yuan she ever hoarded, every time she made us feel like she was being stingy, it was never for her. Not once. Every penny went back into the family. Into us. Into me. My mother has been the CFO of this household her entire life, running the tightest budget in the province, absorbing everyone's complaints about her being cheap and never once buying herself anything. And now she's handing over the treasury because she trusts her son to use it right. I gripped those bills and nodded. I know, Mom. Every yuan goes exactly where it should. Good. Now move. We're burning daylight. She turned and walked back to the carts like nothing happened. No hugs. No dramatic music. Just a mother making sure her family's foundation is solid, the way she's done every single day for as long as I've been alive. I followed her, ginseng warm against my chest, money heavy in my pocket, and a lump in my throat I couldn't quite swallow. Same setup as before. Our family takes the county, relatives fan out to the 4 surrounding towns. Uncle-in-law borrowed the tractor again, but had to pay for diesel himself. I tried to split the fuel cost, and he basically told me to shut up and go away. Pride runs deep in this family. On the way into town, I pitched the idea of buying our own vehicle. Mom, Dad, we need a 3-wheeler. Mom's first instinct. Why not a tractor? Tractors can plow fields and haul cargo. Classic rural logic. If it can't do farm work, what's the point? I explained that I want one with an enclosed cabin. Mom, imagine driving to the city in winter. 3 hours on an open tractor in -30. You want to arrive as a frozen corpse? She shivered just thinking about it and immediately changed her mind. Fine, three-wheeler. With a roof, then added. But we're saving every penny from now on. No more wasteful spending. She's already forgotten the pineapple incident from 45 minutes ago. I told her the bigger plan. Save up, rent a proper storefront in the county, open a real vegetable shop. No more standing on frozen streets all day. She tried to act tough about it. Standing in the cold doesn't scare me, but I could see her eyes dreaming about warm walls and a real counter. Set up the stall and immediately hit a problem. Mom insisted on keeping all the good stuff buried under thick quilts to prevent freezing. The pineapples? Under blankets. Oranges? Under blankets. Apples? Hidden. All you could see from the street was a sad pile of regular vegetables and what looked like someone's laundry. Nobody stopped. Nobody could tell we had anything special. The stall was invisible. I told my parents I had an idea. Ran to the supply store, bought red paper and ink, found someone with a wooden board, paid 2 yuan to mount the paper on it, and wrote out every single product we had in big characters. Especially pineapple. In the biggest letters possible. Hung it up. Instant crowd. Some old man spotted the word, pineapple, on the sign and hit the brakes so hard he almost fell over. You have pineapple? For real? Mom smiled like a professional saleswoman. Of course it's real. Who sells fake vegetables? Let me see it. Can't just pull it out for looking. It's a tropical fruit. It'll freeze. If you're buying, I'll show you one. The old man laughed. It's a pineapple, not an ice sculpture. One look won't kill it. If it's real, I'll buy one. And that is how you sell exotic fruit in 1988 rural China. You don't display it. You make people beg to see it. Scarcity creates demand. Mom accidentally invented luxury retail marketing by being too cheap to show the merchandise. Sometimes the best business strategies come from pure stinginess. The pineapple sign worked like magic. Some official-looking guy in his 50s, 2 pins in his breast pocket, polished shoes, leather briefcase. The whole, I'm somebody important, starter kit. Walked up and asked to see one. Mom quoted 5 yuan. He didn't even flinch. Sniffed it, nodded, pulled out a crisp bill, done. Didn't haggle, didn't complain. Just bought it like it was the most normal thing in the world. And the second the crowd saw that an obvious leader type was buying, herd mentality kicked in like a stampede. I want one too. Me too. 7 or 8 pineapples, gone in minutes. And the people who missed out grabbed oranges and apples as consolation prizes, which dragged the regular vegetables along for the ride. Over 1,000 pounds of produce sold before noon. At this rate, the three-wheeler money practically earns itself in a week. Back at the townhouse, everyone gathered to count money and divide profits. Third, Aunt was practically vibrating. We could have sold double. People were fighting over the last cabbage. Every family walked away grinning with their stack of cash. Big sister dropped some useful intel. The existing vegetable seller in her town quit. Can't compete with our prices. 1 yuan per pound when their wholesale cost is already higher than that. They didn't stand a chance. We've basically achieved a natural monopoly without even trying. Decided to increase supply. More cucumbers, more peppers, more exotic fruit. The demand is bottomless. Mom wanted Dad to stay with me overnight, but I talked her into sending cousin Li Hung instead. Perfect arrangement. He sleeps like a hibernating bear, which means I can teleport freely all night without witnesses. Mom agreed, but her face told a different story. On the way home, she told Dad what was really worrying her. I'm carrying thousands of yuan in cash, sleeping alone in an isolated house on the edge of town. Last year, some family near the logging camp got murdered in their sleep over a few $100. Dad's face went from casual to stone cold in 1 second. He yelled at Uncle driving the cart. Turn around. Go to the general store. Mom was confused. What are you doing? Dad didn't answer. Just set his jaw with a look I've never seen before. Whatever he's about to buy, it's not groceries. My father, the man who fights over firecrackers and shows off watches, just switched into protection mode. And when this man gets serious, he gets scary serious. I don't know what he's planning, but I have a feeling the next person who tries to mess with the Liu family is going to deeply regret it. Dad turned to Mom with a face I've rarely seen. Dead serious, zero jokes, pure business. How much cash do you have? Mom unwrapped her little handkerchief money pouch. 200 and change. Dad took it without a word, then turned to Uncle. Lend me what you made today. I'll have Xiaowei pay you back. Uncle didn't even hesitate. Told Auntie to hand it over. She gave up her entire day's earnings, 200 plus, without a single question. Uncle passed it straight to Dad. Dad now had about 450 yuan in his fist. He told Mom, "Wait here," and marched into the biggest state-run store in town like a man on a mission. Mom and I still had no idea what he was buying. But the look on his face said, "Don't ask questions." I found out later what sparked this. On the ride home, Mom had whispered to Dad about last year's incident. A family near the logging camp, murdered in their sleep over a few hundred yuan. And now their son is sleeping alone in an isolated house, carrying thousands in cash. Dad's brain went from, "My son is growing up," to, "My son could get killed," in about 2 seconds. Whatever he walked into that store to buy, it wasn't candy. Meanwhile, and I only pieced this together much later, that old cadre who bought our pineapple went home to the county government family compound. His daughter Han Ning was lounging on the couch reading. Mid-20s, pretty, elegant, skin so perfect it practically glowed. Originally from the south, clearly not thrilled about being stuck in this frozen wasteland. Her dad pulled out the pineapple, and her reaction was explosive. She launched off the sofa like a rocket, snatched it from his hands, and buried her face in it. "Pineapple. You brought me a pineapple. You went all the way to the south just for me." She literally wrote an entire love story in her head. Dad traveling thousands of miles to bring his little princess her favorite fruit. The man just bought it off a street stall for $5. He tried to tell her the truth. "I bought it. Here. On the street. 5 yuan. She didn't believe him for a second. "Nice try, Dad. There's no way you can buy tropical fruit in this frozen wasteland. You obviously used your connections. It's okay. I know you love me the most." He gave up arguing. Just told her to save it for dinner when the whole family comes over. Then she mentioned her niece, Anan, her brother's little girl, who's been sick. Some kind of illness the whole family is worried about. She said she'd written to a college friend studying in America asking about new treatments. The mood in that apartment dropped from playful to heavy in an instant. Whatever Anan has, it's serious enough that they're reaching across the ocean for answers. I didn't know any of this at the time. I was just a guy selling pineapples on a frozen street corner. But that 5 yuan sale had apparently landed my fruit in the home of a county-level official with connections, money, and a sick granddaughter. In this business, you never know which customer is going to change everything. I wasn't there for this part, but Dad told me everything later, and honestly, the man went full action movie. He walked into the state-run store, ignored every shelf, and marched straight to the hunting section in the back. A bored middle-aged woman was knitting behind the counter. "How much for the Eagle brand?" 180. "The Tiger brand?" 200. "Give me 2 Eagles." 2. Not 1. 2 hunting shotguns. The woman actually stopped knitting and looked up, which apparently was the equivalent of a standing ovation from her. Most people come in, drool over the guns, and leave. Dad slapped down 360 yuan in mixed bills without blinking. Then came the paperwork situation. "You need a gun permit." "Dad, did not have one. I forgot it at home. Can I bring it later?" Now in any normal country, that's where the transaction ends. But Dad slid a folded 10 yuan bill across the counter like a secret agent passing intelligence. The woman's entire personality transformed. Cold and dead-eyed 1 second, warm and helpful the next. "Oh, of course. Just remember to come back and fill in the paperwork. Name, Su Jisheng." Dad gave the name of Xu Laosan, the guy whose daughter I supposedly threatened to impregnate. Didn't even hesitate. Just casually committed identity fraud to buy firearms and pinned it on his neighbor. This man operates on a level of petty genius I can only aspire to. Address? He gave Su Laosan's village too. If anything goes sideways with these guns, it's Su Laosan's problem now. Legendary move. Walked out with 2 double-barrel shotguns, 2 boxes of shells, iron pellets, gunpowder, cartridge casings, primers, and paper rounds. Wrapped the whole arsenal in old newspaper like he was carrying home a couple baguettes. Mom saw the package and her face went white. "You bought guns? What for?" Dad's face was granite. "Protection. You're the one who brought up that family near the logging camp. Our son is sleeping alone with thousands of yuan in his pocket. If some lowlife tries anything, I want him to hear 2 barrels clicking before he sees the afterlife." Mom panicked. "And if you kill someone, you'll go to prison." Dad looked at her like she'd said the dumbest thing in human history. He breaks into MY house to rob and murder MY family. And I'm the criminal? Woman, that's called self-defense. They'd give me a medal. He's not wrong. In 1988 rural China, a hunting shotgun is about as controversial as a bicycle. Every other household in the logging district has one. The permit system exists mostly on paper, and the woman behind the counter literally accepted a bribe to skip it entirely. So now I have two shotguns I don't know about yet, registered under the name of a man who already hates me, purchased with money borrowed from my uncle who has no idea what it was for, and my mother is simultaneously terrified of the guns and relieved they exist. The Liu family security system has officially been upgraded from locked door and hope for the best to armed and registered under a false identity. Dad may be a show-off and a mahjong flirt, but when it comes to protecting his family, the man doesn't play around. Well, he does play around, but not about this. Mom figured out Dad's real motive in about 3 seconds. Why two guns? Dad was hugging those shotguns like newborn babies, wouldn't even let Uncle touch them. Back off. Look with your eyes, and answered without looking up. One for home, one for our son. He's alone out there. He needs protection too. Mom wasn't buying it. Oh, please. I know you. You just wanted a gun for yourself and used our son as an excuse. You've been itching to own one for years. That is not true. Dad's voice cracked in a way that confirmed it was absolutely true. This is about family security. Dual coverage. You wouldn't understand. He made the cart swing back toward my townhouse to deliver one gun. Stopped a block away so nobody would see, grabbed one wrapped package, and told Mom and Uncle to wait. I'll be right back. Meanwhile, I was already inside with the doors locked, and the second everyone left, I teleported to 2025. Phone buzzed immediately. Wei asking if I needed help. In the background, I could hear Cece yelling, "Shout WEI? If you don't come home soon, I'm eating all the hot pot meat. Every piece." Wei told me to ignore her and take my time. I'll wait for you. My heart did that warm thing again. Still think she's my daughter. Still can't tell her. Hung up and remembered the ginseng. I pulled out Mom's old wooden box and looked at it critically. The thing was ancient. Faded cloth, chipped corners, looked like it survived a war. Sending this to Lou, you would be like wrapping a diamond in toilet paper. Searched my phone for gift boxes. Found a shop nearby. Rode over and found a deep red wooden case with carved dragons and phoenixes, lined with soft velvet. 80 yuan. Didn't even haggle. This is what a proper gift looks like. Transferred the ginseng into the fancy box. The roots sat there on the red velvet looking like it belonged in a museum. Perfect. What I did not know, and wouldn't learn until much later, is that in 2025, these flashy carved boxes are considered the tackiest thing on earth. They scream, "I bought this at a tourist trap." Real connoisseurs prefer simple, understated packaging. The fancier the box, the more it looks like you're compensating for garbage inside. But I'm from 1988. In my world, dragons and phoenixes carved into shiny red wood is the height of sophistication. So I looked at that gaudy box with genuine pride and thought, Lu Yi is going to be so impressed. He was not going to be impressed by the box, but hopefully the 30-year wild mountain ginseng inside would do the talking. Called Lu Yi. "Hey brother, where are you? Time to go deliver a gift, meet some buyers, and build the next branch of my cross-century business empire." With two shotguns waiting for me back in 1988 that I don't even know about yet. Called Lu Yi and told him I had a gift from back home. He tried to refuse. "We don't need to do this." But I insisted it was just a little wild ginseng, nothing fancy. He heard ginseng and mentally filed it under cheap tourist market stuff. Because in 2025, fake ginseng is everywhere. Didn't think twice about it. Said sure, bring it over. Drove my shiny new electric tricycle to his warehouse. He saw the new ride and was genuinely impressed. "Look at you. Got your own wheels already." Patted my shoulder like a proud older brother. I handed him the gift in a cloth bag and he peeked inside, saw the fancy red carved box, and chuckled. "All right, I'll take it. But no more gifts after this." He didn't even open the box properly, just tossed it in his car. To him, it was a cheap ginseng root in a tacky gift box. Background noise. Nice gesture from a hardworking kid, nothing more. Then he drove to his friend De Chengzi's new fire hot pot restaurant. Opening day. Lu Yi realized he hadn't brought a proper gift, so he grabbed 2 bottles of Mao from his trunk and, on a whim, threw in my ginseng box too, just to make the gift bag look fuller. His friends were already eating without him. You're late and you have the nerve to complain? Classic buddy roasting. They forced a penalty drink on him. De Qingzi opened the gifts. Saw the Maotai. 2 bottles? Really generous of you. Pure sarcasm. Then he opened the ginseng box. Didn't even look closely. Ginseng? Where'd you find this? Then this man, this absolute barbarian, picked it up and bit into it. He bit into a 30-year-old wild mountain ginseng that my mother spent 500 yuan on. That old Zhang dug out of ancient forest. That I carefully transferred into a new box. That crossed 37 years of time. He chomped it like a snack. Bleh. Bitter as hell. And then, he threw it into the hot pot. Into the hot pot. Let's make ginseng broth. Good for all you guys with weak kidneys. Bro, you just bit it, and now you're putting it in the communal pot. Who are you calling weak? I'm still down there. They all laughed and kept eating. Spicy hot pot. Maotai liquor. Chili oil. Lamb. Goji berries. And a genuine 30-year wild mountain ginseng slowly releasing its concentrated life force into the boiling broth. Now here's what none of them understood. A real wild mountain ginseng isn't like the cultivated garbage sold in supermarkets. It's been growing in pristine old-growth forest for 3 decades, absorbing minerals and energy from untouched soil. Its potency is on a completely different level. You're supposed to take tiny slices, not dump the whole root into a bubbling cauldron of spicy beef broth, and wash it down with 53% alcohol. 20 minutes in, De Qingzi looked up and Lu Yi said, "Bro, your period is coming out of your nose." De Qingzi wiped his face. Hand covered in blood. Nosebleed. Probably just the dry air. Lu Yi. You're bleeding too. Ha ha, you guys are so weak. Wait. Am I bleeding? Within minutes, all 5 of them were stampeding to the bathroom with blood streaming from their noses like faucets. Couldn't stop it. Tissues soaked through. Paper towels useless. 5 grown men standing over sinks looking like they'd been in a bar fight, and not a single punch was thrown. That's when it finally clicked. Something in that hot pot was not normal. 5 simultaneous nosebleeds isn't dry air. That's a 30-year-old ginseng root screaming, "I am not a snack," through every blood vessel in their bodies. My mother's 500 yuan gift. Bitten, boiled, and turned into a medical emergency. Somewhere in 1988, Mom is probably sensing a disturbance in the force and doesn't know why. Got to Weiwei's room late. She and Cece had been waiting with a hot pot ready, food untouched, just sitting there. Hadn't eaten a single bite. Waited for me. The guilt hit me like a truck. Weiwei didn't complain even once. Just smiled, got me warm water, her own towel, her own face wash, the full spa treatment. I stood there washing my face with water that smelled like her shampoo, thinking, some lucky bastard is going to marry this girl someday, and immediately wanting to fight. That hypothetical person. Dad instincts are weird. Cece watched the whole scene with her chin on her hands, smirking like a cat who knows where the fish is hidden. Didn't say a word. For once. Terrifying. Dinner was simple and warm. Weiwei kept putting food in my bowl. Cece kept talking about work drama. It felt like family, which technically it is, except only I know that. After dinner, I went back to my room. Cece stayed over with Weiwei, too late to go home alone. And that's when I found out later what happened in their dark bedroom. Cece, be honest. You like him. You want to eat the tender grass, old cow, Weiwei. We are 5 years apart. He's my brother. I'm just taking care of him. Cece, let me check your sincerity. Let me touch your conscience while you say that again. Hey, don't touch there. Get off me. Wow, very bouncy. Let me taste. Get away from me, you pervert. Meanwhile, I was in my room scrolling through 2025 internet and getting depressed. Not about my life, about everyone else's attitude. The comment sections were absolutely toxic. People screaming about freedom while demanding someone else fix their problems.